everyone, and welcome back to Division 2 for some more NLC action. Division 1 is done for the week for the most part, but for us in Division 2, we still have a game day to go. I'm once again Carvis, joined this time around by Black Block, so welcome back to the Division 2 stream.
Oh, it's been far too long. This off season was just long and dull, and I don't know what to do with myself without League of Legends to be talking about. So I'm so excited for it to be back, and the games we've got today look super exciting. So what a welcome back into the NLC.
Yeah, we have 3 games today. Sadly, a couple of them were rescheduled, and we have an additional game day during the weekend that we cannot stream. But we have a banger to start out
Oh
with
yeah,
G2 Hell facing off against God and Game.
oh yeah. I mean, this is such an exciting matchup. We just saw G2 Hell in a 50-minute just slugfest. It was absolutely insane. Up against 42 didn't go their way in the end, but back and forth, loads of really good things to take away from it. Whereas Garden Gaming coming out with a win in their first week, so they're going to be looking to continue on that streak. G2 Hell wanting to step back up again, teams that really want to get their seasons off to a good start. A first win can really give you a lot of momentum, and getting your season started now is super important because you don't want to be playing catch up later on.
Yeah, and especially momentum comes in very hard at this level of play. When you have the confidence with your team, you can keep those aggressive plays going. And I think the main thing to take away for G2 Hell in their game against 42 is they need to press buttons at the enemy aggressively and go in
Mm.
and surprise Garden here because they seemed extremely strong coming into their
Yeah.
first game.
Yeah, Garden seemed to just kind of sweep the rug out underneath K5. Obviously, Carolina, they had an interesting draft. There was a Nautilus mid, in case you missed it. So, sometimes things happen with drafts, whatever, we can move past that. But that doesn't mean that they were just like walking over their opponents. How well Garden Gaming played was really impressive. So yeah, G2 Hell definitely going to have to step up because their early game looked pretty good in their bot lane. It was the top lane where things began to fall apart a little bit.
Well, we'll get to see how Lysia handles the matchup this time around as she faces Fat Shield, who
Hmm.
currently is, I believe, the highest LP top laner in the entire Division 2 roster. And if he gets one of his comfort picks like the Karma, there could be another rough laning phase coming their way.
Yeah, which is not usually what you end up saying. Oh, it's Karma top, whatever. It's just a tank Karma top. Nobody really cares, but that's not the case at the moment. Karma top is really strong, and it can do a surprising amount of damage, especially in the early game. Everybody's played against that level of poke, so we'll have to see if that one is going to come through. In terms of the bans, that Rek'Sai ban, that's a target ban right there. That is one of the just most played things by Sheena. Good to see that one taken off the board. You don't want to give over a one trick on something as specific as the Rek'Sai because a lot of people don't play up against the Rek'Sai very often. That Varus as well, yeah. Some more target bans coming through.
Yeah, and G2 heavily targeting the bot lane with
Mm.
Draven and Varus both heavily played by MKL. And now we get to see which is the highest priority. We have Azir still open, we have Karma still open, all extremely strong champions. Even though we're not on the live patch, Patch Shield brought it out once already, and the entire jungle pool, like Xin Zhao, as well open. But Kasante,
Oh boy.
we saw some interesting team fighting going on. If you watched the LC, was the LCK where he went completely insane in a
I
Dragon
think
Pit
so,
fight?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. To be fair, I've been seeing a lot of Casantes popping off all over the shop. Really strong pretty much throughout the entire game, and is just got a great backline disruptor. Once he gets into a backline during a team fight, there's very little that you can do. It's also very hard to punish in lane, so we'll have to see what it is that Lysia wants to pick up into that. It's going to be a Rel locked in first. That can still be flexed between the bot lane and that jungle position. It's been more popular in the jungle at the moment. It has some really good interactions with those grubs,
oh,
but I mean, if you want to pick yourself up that, then that is a power duo in the bot lane.
I love the Kalista
Mm,
pick. This is exactly what I wanted to see from G2 Hell. Kaltis, by far the best player on G2 Hell, even among the Division 2 AD carries ranking, among the
so
top 5 at least. Kalista, one of the best AD carries in the meta, can play super aggressive, paired up with the Rel, could be a flex, but I expect not. I don't expect to see Sheena on this Rel.
no,
I
that's not really Sheena's style now, is it?
It's really not. You want to see something more aggressive down the jungle, but speak of the Caravan, it shall appear, getting locked in along with the Ezreal for Garden.
Okay, interesting. It would be interesting to see as well. I don't know if Ericsson plays any Cassante, because if you could put the Cassante into the mid lane, just absorb a lot of pressure, put that Karma up into the top lane, it at least gives you a lot of flexibility until the later stages of this draft. If you do just want to take that Karma alongside the Ezreal, it's a really good lane into this Kalista, because you can just sit back, poke a ton, stay away from her pretty much is all you want to do. With the Ornn locked in as well, that top side, Cassante, Ornn, there can be kills in that top lane. If you get a jungler up there, things can get a bit explosive, but you're more looking to get through that laning phase and join in with those skirmishes around the grubs, around the herald, and then team fights is where both of these champions really pop off. So that means that the junglers can put a lot more focus into this bot lane. Mid laners too need to be careful. You don't want to get yourself something too immobile, because there could be a lot of free time for junglers, especially on Garden Gaming side. Do you want to gank a Cassante? Do you want to gank an Ezreal? Not necessarily. Mid lane could end up being that focus.
Also, jungle now being focused out by God and making
Mm,
sure that the backline access onto the Ezreal is minimal. Nocturne being one of those that can easily stick to that AD carry, and the most played solo laners banned out from G2 Hell. The flex picks are still available. This Karma could go anywhere. This Cassante, both solo lanes happy to play it. So still danger there in the name of counter picks. I wouldn't want to play Ornn versus Aatrox, at least on the level of Fat Shield. Now, for the final ban, another
right.
jungler.
Yeah, just going to be a lot of focus right here onto Sheena. Could still take the Rel. Obviously, it works so well alongside this Callista, so you don't necessarily want to take it away, but, there is still plenty of potentials right there. We'll have to see which direction they want to go. And G2 Hell right now, they've got a lot of early power. They've got that late game insurance through this Ornn. Nico, something that has slipped through the bans, been seeing that taken off the board quite a lot. No, instead, going to be the Orianna again, going for that team fighting. This 5v5 team fighting is incredibly scary out of hell.
It is. This is another one of those compositions that heavily rewards team coordination, and that is
Mm,
what G2 Hell has. They've played so long together, only the mid laner has recently changed, and
mm,
they can execute these. Well, I just want to see them pull the trigger. And
mm.
with Lysia being on the Ornn now, they have that long range engage they're so
Yeah.
used to playing. Previously, when I've casted them in, for example, Division 3 of the NLC, this is the type of composition that they shined on. However, Garden, the Xin Zhao somehow escaping it all the way to blue 4.
Yeah. That's a power jungler right there. If you can get that jungle rolling during the early stages of the game, you can absolutely take over. You do just have to be careful that a lot of these bruiser-esque builds are just not as strong now. You have to lean more into either damage or tank. It's a lot harder to be both damaging and tanky, and so depending on which way you go, you get blown up quite quickly as a Xin Zhao. You have to position very carefully, but if you're able to do so, just incredible amounts of damage that you can lay down for yourself. LeBlanc also going to be locked in to make what is quite a pokey long-range composition out of Garden Gaming. Going to be the Viego as the final lock-in for that jungler, a bit of extra early power that can teamfight very effectively too. And once you get that first kill with this G2 Hell composition, that's where things are just go, go, go. But who is that target? Because the Ezreal and the LeBlanc priority targets are very hard to catch.
They do have a ton of mobility on the side of God, and it'll be up to catching out the Xin Zhao or the Cassante going in a little bit too deep and then executing it with the Kalista Viego. Crap ton of damage.
Mm,
I'm so happy with this Viego lock in.
mm.
They were hovering the Bard for a moment. You're not gonna have damage if you lock that in. The
Yeah, nope.
Viego fits the composition perfectly, and in some situations can even be a ball carrier for Orianna coming out of stealth with the Heartbreak hold.
Yeah, you can. It's just a really well-rounded composition. It's the kind of composition that I really like out of teams where you've just got yourself a big tank in the support and the top lane, a control mage in the mid, and then plenty of damage through the rest of your lanes. I like the way that this composition is focused, but if Garden Gaming can play their composition effectively, the amount of range that they're able to play from, and then you pull the trigger with that Xin Zhao, I like that too, but it all depends on those solo lanes being able to get ahead, because a LeBlanc that can one-shot a Callista, perfect. If you're not in that position, if you have to spend a while there, Callista has more than enough damage to be able to just rend you down. Can also bring that support in as well through the ultimate, so you have to be careful to not fall behind, I think, with this Garden Gaming composition, especially when that is that Ornn up in the top lane for Lizard. Because if you fall behind too far, there's just that scaling that you get out of the ornaments that you just can't compete with.
Yeah. Trying to avoid falling down behind against Callista, Rel,
Mm,
and Orianna Diana could be a challenge with the Ezreal Karma lane. Ezreal, even though he's super strong at the current moment, still needs a couple of items to properly start to be a danger and a threat in team fights. So interesting angles for both teams to play around. We'll get to see when we head to the Rift how it turns out. What do you think? Who has the initial advantage?
In terms of just straight up composition, I do prefer that G2L composition. I think that it's just a solid overall composition that's got good early game power in a couple of lanes, great late game scaling too, and works around team fights, which is often what you need if your team coordination maybe isn't all the way there. Just having a big go button that is the shockwave, that is that Ornhorn, both of those things you can just say, hey, we're going in now, and then you go. I think that can be perfect, but I just worry that the skill ceiling on this Garden Gaming composition is higher, and because we know how strong Garden Gaming can be, if they're able to execute up to that, then there's a definite possibility they could be walking away with a second win.
Yeah, sometimes you have to talk with the nameplates off. Sometimes you have to turn them on as we head to the Rift for today's Game 1 between G2 Hell and Garden Gaming. Both teams heading out, and Garden seems to be up to something here.
Yes, they are. All of them down into the bot lane right now. Going to be sneaking right on into this bush. The only possible target is Colombo, who's chucked down the ward, walked away, going to spot out this entire composition and just walk themselves away. So nothing too interesting going to happen right here. Everybody backs off, but you do get a lot of vision down, and it does mean that G2 are able to walk in, get themselves some vision back, and are going to be well aware now of where Bash is starting up.
Again, the early game information trade is always nice to have. You get to confirm how to play both sides of the map, depending on if there's a dive danger, if there's a volatile lane. I still think that the only volatile lane per se is the bot lane that has the Kalista Rel with double combat summoners.
I would say so too. If you can get on top of this Ezreal, or more importantly this Karma, you can blow her up incredibly quickly, and we've all seen what can happen once you get a Kalista that gets a couple of kills and just starts getting ahead. It's very easy to roll through and just destroy whatever is in your path, and there is only really Batshield in the top lane who is a big tank who can stand up to this Kalista if she gets going. Everybody else is going to die very quickly. You'd have to pop the ult as Bash to be able to survive for particularly long with the Kalista's focus on you, but obviously it's all about how you position during team fights on the Kalista, because if you get caught, you're incredibly squishy.
The catch just has to happen though, and if you think about just hard CC, it's only the Xin Zhao and K'Sante, and with the Xin Zhao, as we already talked about, patting from the top side, these level 2 trades could go haywire if you're not careful. Colombo already having to burn the flash. A bit of an overcommitment there with the W, not respecting the damage potential. Karma, one of the better lane bullies, similar to Lulu early game.
Yeah, you can just step up in that situation and just poke out so much. You've got an Ezra who's also incredible at poke. And with that Comet too, just the amount that you can lay down constantly can be incredibly oppressive. You can see it in this mid lane as well, and this is what you are going to want to do as Garden Gaming as you go later on into this game. Sure, in your individual lanings, you're just trying to get that poke off to give you a little bit of lane pressure, but once we get around these objectives, it's a full all-in composition out of G2, whereas you're just looking to poke down the enemy to well below half health as Garden Gaming, and then you can pull the trigger with your Xin Zhao, with your K'Sante. You don't need to go in until everybody is quite low health first, and it means that you're a lot less pressured to get into an objective first and set up vision. If you can do it, perfect, it allows you to land that poke easier, but you're not so badly positioned if you don't get in first, where G2, they just have to walk in blind because you have to get that engage off first, rather than just the poke you can put down as Garden Gaming.
And not only do they eventually have to try to find the angle, there is a factor we haven't talked about, and that is the Doran's Blade in Ericsson's inventory. This is an AD LeBlanc who can and will eventually become a sideline threat as Bash trying to pressure Sheena a little bit onto this scuttle grab as G2 Hell lacking the flash guaranteed engage to fight with from home.
Just going to concede that one away. That does now mean that Top Scuttle is just available. It looks like Bash is just going to sprint up through mid lane, pick up that one as well. And getting this a little bit later on too is brilliant because it gives you that vision right as those grubs are going to be spawning. A little bit of extra speed up too, just really helpful for fighting around these initial grubs. A boost you can really use. Looks like Fat Shield's also in a pretty good spot, has taken a lot of the mana off of Lysia, so if they want to scrap in the next 40 or so seconds for these grubs, it looks like Garden Gaming are going to be in a much stronger position to do so.
They do need the reset of Bash first, though. Securing the double scuttle has a bunch of income. Oh, you know what's more than 2 long swords? 3 long swords. Fat Shield getting pushed in a little bit. Again, Lysia have no mana, as you previously mentioned, but this does secure them lane priority and a free reset probably for this Ornn. Still nothing happening on the map, though.
Everything is going calm and collected, but it feels like the calm before a storm right now. Sure, this is a composition about team fighting out of G2 Hell, but that doesn't necessarily mean that explosive plays can't come from the rest of Leeds lanes. We've now got Grubs and Drake up and available, TP coming back in out of Lysia in the top lane, so you do have both of those around for a potential Grub play. See if Garden Gaming want to respond. They've got plenty of vision around though because of that double scuttle, so you're going to know exactly where Sheena is.
And trying to secure one of these grubs. No lane priority to speak of though, could get caught out. Bash can't smite it out. Already one secure, Lysia rotating in, but they just get pushed away. Both of the bot laners from G2 Hell rotating, so this could end up being a fight for this objective. Giving it up for now as they look for a fight combo. No Flash still has to go over the wall. Jesus down by Bash. One more W lands, but can't get the follow-up. Sheena flashes forward. They want the first blood with the shockwave secured. Fight keeps going as the reset is there, but Sheena can't make her way in. MKL, Shira, and Ericsson can play far away as they, knock up lands or an ultimate to keep the CC chain going. Flash bent to keep Ericsson safe. And they win the fight and the grubs.
Oh, I do love the grubs getting us 5v5 team fights 6 minutes into the game. Isn't that just excellent? Actually, is walking up here. He's going to come face to face with Catalyst.
Pass level 6 as well, but that's a lot of spears. Has to spend the heal. Can she pop him before he dies?
Oh!
Kill secured. And they get even further ahead in this aggressive.
Oh, you don't want to be giving over a couple more kills to this G2 composition. Falling behind could be devastating. It's also going to be all 3 of the grubs going over to Sheena too. Oh, you don't want to mess with this Kalista right now. This is a no items Kalista who's already able to kite you like that. That feels terrible. But it all comes back to that mid lane where you end up roaming your bot lane up first out of G2, and then it was over aggression out of Bash. Just went in way too deep. Getting the flash out is perfect. Flashing over that wall yourself was over-aggressive out of Bash and got caught in no man's land, taken out, and that just gives full priority of those grubs over to G2 Hell. They played it really well. The shockwave, especially out of Shah, was just beautiful.
And this is the team coordination that we talked about in draft, where they have the game plan, they have the macro to make these plays for the early game. They knew that their composition is stronger these early levels with the Kalista, able to pump out DPS as Israel's still looking for his items. It's just really, really nice early game play, but the gold hasn't moved too much still. Only a 400 gold difference, mostly in the mid lane and the jungle, as Sheena and Shah looking pretty good going into this upcoming Dragon.
Yeah, this is the kind of position that you want to be in right now. Don't fall behind to something like a LeBlanc who can just begin to burst you out in one shot. Ooh, hang on, that was a little bit risky right there. This remains a little bit risky. Sheena is bombing it down to this bot lane, but you're just getting pushed out. That poke out of the Karma Ezreal lane really coming into fruition. And through all of those plays that were going on, the kills that ended up going over to G2, that is 2 turret plays well on the way to 3 into MKL's back pocket. You don't want to fall behind to an Ezreal because this champion really does scale in terms of how well you can get on top of him, and it's pretty hard to get on top of the Ezreal with the composition that G2 have right now.
Dragon, I believe, is started up now by Bosch. Just getting it done with Shira. I don't think G2 Hell has a way to contest this. Even with the strong mid jungle duo. The priority is just so difficult to get hang off with Ericsson constantly shoving the wave in with empowered fleet footwork auto attacks, the poke coming from the bot side, as you said, counters forced back. It's annoying to deal with, even with.
It certainly is. And there's no reason to risk it in that situation. You already won a big 5v5 fight. You didn't have the members. Just back off. We want extra aggression out of G2. I would agree with you there, but that would have been over-aggression in this situation. It was correct to back off. You might end up in a 3v3 situation right here, though. Bash is going to find his Krugs getting stolen. She needs to get out.
Gina really far in. No level 6 on Colombo that they want to find. Insane ultimate coming out from Bash. Held stuck next to the wall. Can't hop over. Shiro finishes the kill as Colombo barely gets out alive. Flash Mantra Q. Well, I hope you didn't want that flash because it's gone again.
Yeah, bot lane now has no flashes on anybody. I think Shiro having that heal is the only person with a summoner spell remaining, and we said that this bot lane could end up getting spicy. Over-aggression right there out of Sheena. Just didn't know where Bash was, I guess, getting way too deep, trying to steal away those Krugs. Not worth it to lose out on a kill. And some extra map pressure. Look, the bot lane heading top lane right now. Lydia is going to head bot lane to pick up this wave, but MKL and Shiro, they're going to be able to pick themselves up so much off of this play. They are backing off rather than picking up any extra turret plates, but still very strong position right now, and it's going to be tricky. Okay, they do end up swapping the bot lanes around. I was going to say, if you send that bot lane bot right now, Lydia has a terrible time under the tower, but things are just going to swap around completely. That does mean that Cutlass and Colombo did manage to get themselves to that top lane a little bit earlier on, so they're going to get that fast track to these blocks.
This play is very telegraphed though, and Garden Gaming converging on the position that G2 has found themselves in. Shah and Sheena on the right side flank, looking for a possible shockwave play. Teleport being channeled from Ericsson, has got the static shiv from the reset to Lysia rotating over as well. We can see a 5-on-5, but the grubs are falling fast. Hex Flash coming in from Colombo. They want to get at least something out of this with Bash separated from the rest of the team. It's an easy kill picked up, but most of the grubs already gone. They only get 4 to their name, so no extra might for them to push with, but still a nice amount of true damage coming off the tower.
You're not going to be unhappy with that one, and it looked like G2 just didn't want to go in too far. L showing a lot of restraint right there, went in exactly when they needed to be able to pick up Bash, and that's now a second time around the grub that Bash has been caught just a little bit out in no man's land, trying to step up too aggressively. And this is what I was saying during the draft phase. You don't get to be as tanky anymore alongside your damage. With the build that you're going right now as Bash, that Tiamat is incredibly expensive for what it gives you, especially compared to what the item was previously. Previously, you felt pretty tanky with it, as well as dealing a good chunk of damage. Now, it just feels like you have the extra damage because of the active, but a lot of those tanky stats just aren't there. The build path, it doesn't lean towards making you a threat that can stick around on the backline for a long time. Sheena needs to get out of here. Is going to manage it.
They can still look for plays underneath the tower, but that's a very tanky one waiting for them, so get her jungler out scot-free, as no objectives on the map. We don't really have too much happening, just waiting for the upcoming dragon in a minute and a half. Vision game though, Garden Gaming setting up a huge block in the enemy team jungle.
You can see what this means right here for Cutlass, who's just having to sit so far back, cannot step up to this wave really at all. Just going to be able to pick up a couple remaining. Does manage to save this tower. Bash has taken a good chunk of damage there. Stepped up a little bit too far. Not the end of the world. Minute now on this Drake. But yeah, like you said, the vision game absolutely in the favor of Garden Gaming. With a poke composition, having that much vision makes it so easy to play around these team fights. You're going to have to get in there right now as G2 Hell to get some vision set up. Otherwise, you're just going to get squeezed out of this Drake fight and go down by a second one.
Speaking of some items, Shell has finished the new Ludens. I don't know if you have a name that you call this. I've heard so many people in the Finnish scene call this the water gun, because it feels like it doesn't really do anything.
It looks like one too, I like that. We could go with water gun, I think that's brilliant.
So, the water gun being finished does give a little bit of extra burst along with the Lost Chapter mana region, but not the most powerful power spike. Bash getting caught out, forcing the flash out, but now they're a little bit stuck inside the enemy red side jungle. No collapse coming in though, so they just cleanly steal away the red buff and are ready to pivot onto the dragon.
Oh, it looks like right here, Garden Gaming have decided they're not getting onto this straight because they know that they're just going to head straight up towards this Herald. And this Herald with the ability to drift it around the map is pretty strong. Also going to pick up that bot lane turret, so getting a good amount in return. Drake does go over to G2, trying to get onto Ericsson.
No mana, no distortion, has to spend the flash just in a case he could get locked up by Colombo. It's, again, catching out this LeBlanc can be extremely difficult, but with the Herald now being started up, oh, Shockwave, a little wide. You can have one. I give you one per game of those, but that's a big cooldown gone, can't really contest anything now, and Garden has a window of opportunity to go for some sort of Herald play.
Indeed, it'll be interesting to see where this one is going to go down. That bot lane tier 1 has already gone. Mid lane has a decent amount of health there, but still, getting that one down would be huge for just map presence. As you see, Calph is going to pick themselves up this bot lane turret too. This Callista is beginning to get online, should be getting that first item completed on this next recall, and is going to be in such a huge position to be able to weave their way through these team fights and try to pick up a couple more kills. It has been a lot of kills going over to other members so far. Shah is super strong right now. Like you said, the water gun doesn't feel like it does that much, but the shockwave is still going to be hurting a huge amount. Mid lane tier 1 part does go down. I don't think it's going to get a second charge off. No, indeed.
No.
Just going to go down.
I don't think Herald charges anymore without some fighting, it doesn't.
Nope. It just wanders slowly up to the turret.
So, with the mid lane, outer tower gone, Garden has a bit more room to look for aggressive plays with, but they seem like they want to scale up just a little bit. No Muramana yet on the Ezreal, no second item on the LeBlanc, only has the static shift to set up wave clear and lane priority, and Kaltis feels herself as Ericsson takes a huge chunk once again. If they could set up some sort of an aggressive play onto this LeBlanc and start cracking down the outer lane towers from top, it would be huge for G2.
It really would be. You need to get that map presence unlocked right now because all of these outer turrets that they've lost and Garden Gaming hasn't just means that they're not able to move as freely around these potential objectives. Obviously, we've got nothing on the map right now. Drake's going to be a couple of minutes away. Baron quite a while in the future, so it'd be interesting to see what G2 Hell are going to look for right now. They've got their bot lane in the top side trying to pressure onto this turret, but we've got plenty of wave clear out of this Karma and Ezreal. Something's going to have to give. Where is that going to be?
Bash almost gave away another kill because he was trying to secure the blue buff for his team. And yeah, Fat Shield and NKL are the targets. They have the shockwave set up, but that is a very tanky Kazante. Colby getting dragged down underneath the tower. Half HP. No!
Oh no!
Deltas being caught out again, dragged into the enemy team, peeling away, losing their support. Lazia with the Orn ultimate can't even get a knock up. Keltis one on attack way, barely escaping with the power of the shields, but the top lane not so lucky. Lazia falls 2 for nothing for Garden.
Oh, it was a big... oh, hang on, Ericsson. Gonna go over the tower. No. Nope. Oh, whenever a LeBlanc is hunting like that, it's always a little bit scary. They'd also lose all of their jungle out as well in the bot side. Garden Gaming getting an absolute storm right there. Despite the fact that that was a G2 engaged play, they wanted to find something. They were getting antsy. Looking around the map, they'd clearly heard what you were saying, Carvis. Wanted to get something done, but that was not the play. Trying to go all in onto a Cassante who has the all out is never a good idea, and we saw that with you nearly losing out onto Colombo immediately, and then Cactus just gets caught out and has to run for her absolute life.
It's all in the positioning. Just a small error can instantly cost your team fighting Garden. Players well experienced enough to punish those on a short notice, and the timing window is starting to get smaller for G2 Hell to make aggressive plays around the map as LeBlanc and Ezreal both approaching this ever so critical second item.
Yup. They are in incredibly strong positions, and it just doesn't feel really like there's anything that Hell can do until they get themselves into an actual objective team fight. With one of those coming up in less than a minute's time, though, we'll have to see what happens here. Red buff going to be stolen away again. G2Hell have been pretty good at nicking away these buffs, to be fair. Big push going on in the mid lane right now. Pings, though, looks like G2 are looking for something again.
But Shield has teleport up if he wants to look for a fight. They now see Sheena and Columba advancing. Ericsson nowhere to be found, though. If they could get the Ezreal would be huge, but double hop away. Cassante now the only one left even nearby the enemy team. With the Dragon spawn, though, they can start moving towards the objective. They might lose a top lane tower or two, but moving closer to the soul point may be worth it in the long run.
Part of the reason that it felt like G2 ended up losing out in that game versus 42 was that they ended up being down the soul and then down that elder buff. So getting these soul points, extra stats, just move around the map a little bit quicker as well with these clouds. Sorry, be a little bit tankier with these mountain drakes. All of that just can add a little bit extra to your gameplay. Lizia caught between this tower and a lot of enemies. Has friends on the way though.
Columba and Shah have the wombo combo. If they can make it far enough to use it. No, not the Samurai. Enemy's a little bit too fast at running away, and as Shira and MKL just keep on cleaning up the mid wave. And the gold lead, even though we are only 3 kills in for both teams, is starting to come in just through the CS differentials. While G2 has been looking for these grouping up plays, constantly keeping all of their members safe and trying to punish Garden for overextending, they have been losing out on a small bit of CS when it comes to the top lane and the LeBlanc just roaming around, and MKL constantly being at a lane farm.
It's just beginning to widen out right now. It's not getting to the point where you are particularly worried, of course. Barely 2,000 of an advantage for Garden Gaming, considering how crazy it's been. The fact we've only got 3 kills apiece feels like there should have been a lot more. Yeah, things are still close enough. You're at level 12 for Lizia, so a little bit until we start getting those ornaments coming through. That could be a pretty big swing point. Once you get one of those onto Caltis, that is a huge place that you can try to play around. It looks like another bit of aggression going on to Fat Shield.
That is a hard target to get, though, as Columba getting dragged once again near the tower. We saw that once before. Not a fun time. And again, making the aggressive plays attempt is there, but they don't have the damage to take down a target like the Cassante, who has the Candy Crooked, who has the Ice Ball gone. Will be so difficult to kill. Yeah, if Caltis isn't there, nothing's going to kill this Cassante.
No, it really isn't, and we've got more items coming through. Oh, we're going for him again. Let's see. You've got Caltis with you. If she can just sit there and auto-attack, you can kill, but it's going to take a while.
Not only Caltis, Sheena is there as well with the Kraken Slayer, so the damage certainly can be done, but the dash is coming out. Batshield running away for dear life. The spears are stacking. Caltis with a rend isn't able to secure the kill. Gets out as his team is forcing it down mid lane. Mid inner tower surely will fall, and another play thwarted by Garden.
You just can't get through this. Cassante so dang tanky. Needed another rend to be able to come out from the Callista that you just didn't have available, and spending all of those resources and time top lane to just lose your mid lane turret and not even pick up a kill onto the Cassante is pretty devastating. It feels like G2 don't know what they can do on the map, and to be fair, I agree. If they sit in a 1-3-1, they end up getting pushed in by all of the poke that you've got. You can't deal with the Cassante on the side lane with less than 3 members. You really need to take 4 to be able to kill him, and it seems like Garden Gaming are well aware of this and are playing the map really effectively. They're just getting around into places where G2 aren't, pushing turrets and beginning to widen out this gold lead even more. It's at about 3k now, so it just keeps widening bit by bit. It's all you really need as Garden Gaming. They're in a very strong position.
Garden just feeling quite strong coming into this mid game just due to the power spikes coming in. The Ezreal, we haven't really seen participate in a team fight full of power yet, and I think this... Yeah, those items are looking very scary, and in a minute and a half, there's another mountain break.
We have got another objective coming up. Obviously, the Baron has been around for a little bit right now. Nobody really looking to go for it. The Baron take is very fast and strong on GT Hell, but they've not been in a position to really go for it when they're straight up losing 5v5s, which is not what you want. With this composition, you should be able to win out on those 5v5s, but a couple of these Lizia ults have just not quite been landing onto as many targets as you want. Same thing with a few of those Shash shockwaves. If they can turn that one on, that's the way that this composition can really come into its own and win out on a big team fight.
It is always a possibility. There's a bit of tension now forming onto the map as the ever so often mentioned dragon is about to spawn. The vision game still favoring Garden due to the scuttle being taken. And Ericsson just being an absolute menace.
Yep. Bleeding out on objectives right now. This gold is going to balloon to a point where it gets incredibly scary for G2 Hell. They're around this objective. Ericsson does have the teleport, so it's going to be a 5v5 scrap.
Oh, Ericsson teleporting to the opposite side of the river.
Oh.
Interesting position for him, but they have a target, which is G2 Hell, a sandwich between their top lane and the rest of the team. He can even force it down mid lane if they want to. Caltis looking for Fat Shield, getting the Ren slow on him, and now Jordan are collapsing and fast. They don't have the damage to deal with the Cassandra in the backside. They found Caltis, that's the key target. Hornhorn seizing GG up as Ericsson so low on HP, but Caltis, the main damage dealer, already down. G2 Hell are running for their lives. It's not enough though, even with the shutdown going over. Sheena able to escape with the LeBlanc reset, but the fight and the dragon lost.
2 kills for 1 right there in favor of Garden Gaming. You're only going to lose out onto Ericsson. Sure, it's a pretty big shutdown onto Sheena, but you lose out on so much right here, and you just can't deal with this Cassante. We knew the Fat Shield was one of the best top laners, but he's really showing it right now. Lizia didn't have a bad time in the straight-up 1v1 top lane, but now that we've gotten out onto the map, some of these ults haven't been ideal, whereas Fat Shield has been on point with his positioning, with just how much he's been able to absorb of pressure and damage from G2 Hell. It leaves Garden Gaming, the rest of their members, pretty much free to do what they want, to just sit pretty and deal the damage where they need to, and you can't lose Caltis that early on during that fight. That is the main source of your damage for Hell, and with that gone, there's nothing you can do.
Still a chance, of course, for G2 to find the wombo combo as they set up for the Baron, but scouting with the Ezreal ultimate. Garden are just aware that G2 doesn't really have the damage to go for a fast Baron take. Instead, they choose to send Cassandra and LeBlanc to the side lanes and keep the pressure up.
Need to do something right now. If it's a snap Baron call while there's a teleport down for Ericsson, if it's just try to do that to pull a teleport out of Fat Shield and get rid of any something right now, because you're just getting pulled around the map left and right, not able to find anything with your teamfight composition. The 1-3-1 so effective out of Garden Gaming right now. Your LeBlanc can jump away, your Cassante is basically unkillable at this point. I wonder if we're going to see him even die a single more time, and if you do manage to kill this Cassante, what have you lost for it?
It's a difficult task for G2 Hell, and I think Garden made a very good call in the team comp that they built with this double side lane threat to test G2 Hell a little bit. See, how do they deal with this sort of split push macro game that is so difficult usually to execute?
Yeah. The answer so far has... it's not been great, we have to be honest right now. There's been some bright spots, but you need to just find something to do. That's the thing. You cannot just get pulled around, because your 1-3-1 is not as strong as your opponent. So you have to pull the trigger somewhere, but it feels like every single time G2 Hell go for something, they just end up not being able to complete. Yeah. Not even things going horribly wrong, just not quite managing to get anything done at all, which is almost worse. Another tower going down, although Bash so caught out, this could be Baron.
They finally find a catch. The Kalista stacking the spears. Sure, they get the blue buff, but they lose the jungler, and now they head towards the Baron. The Perpetual on the flank, though. Lizia channeling the teleport. They know this is the time, if ever, to go for this play. Ericsson joining the fray as well through the mid lane, but the DPS, as previously mentioned, is quite low. Caltis has to secure with the Ren. Ezreal ultimate chunking her down as Godin approaching the forward 5. Countess is already dead. It's even up. Ericsson traded over. No, never mind. That was clone. They committed everything. I got fooled. And now G2 are facing a huge problem. Cassante all spent as Godin kites away. Shiro down, but MKL still untouched as Ericsson Batch Shield chase down Lysia. Shockwave only onto the tank, Kernik Rukun, preventing most of that damage. Colombo will fall, and now the HP bar is way too low to continue this fight.
On the way back.
Doesn't want to let them get away. Lysia with the burst trying to take down the AD carry, but he is too slippery. He is on a killing spree, and Godin once again refusing to lose a fight.
It's going to be a delayed ace right there for Garden Gaming. They're going to turn straight back onto the Baron, and it all came from a pick onto Bash in their jungle. G2 Hell, they found the pick, went for the Baron, but that Ezreal ultimate was beautiful, chunking out Peltis, and as soon as she died, it was open season right there for Garden Gaming. They had to play it slow, but with such effective tanks on the front line, it felt like there was nothing G2 could do. Garden Gaming are running away with this game. They've now got a Baron, and without any outer turrets left remaining, it is the base in their sights.
And the base crack with the Baron, 1-3-1 has already been quite effective. Now it's even scarier than before. Ow!
Ericsson.
Can he go for it? He's gonna go for it! One auto attack almost takes down Caltis. Had to burn the heal. That is scary coming out from an AD LeBlanc.
It really is. It was nearly at the point where that heal coming through from Shiro could have ended up killing onto Caltis. That may well have spelt the end right there for G2 Hell. They managed to pick up that mid lane tier 2 turret. That's a little bit more gold into their back pocket still there. They're down by a huge amount. Next Drake has spawned, is available, but I don't even know if Garden Gaming are going to go for that one. You just want to press forwards with this Baron buff, take down these base turrets, crack it open, and see if you can win this game. It'll be a huge win for Garden Gaming. 2 in a row, a really good start to their NLC Div 2.
Small gold influx from the top side tower. Shah taking that out and channeling the teleport onto the spot lane. They spend the Ornn ultimate hoping to catch someone out, but now Ericsson on the sidelines taking Colombo to half HP. Sheena struggling to defend the middle tower. G2 Hell separated, can't really hold on to their structures nor their lives from the looks of it. Lysia getting backed all the way into the enemy team, and once again trying to snipe her down, surviving to get to the fountain, but now the Nexus towers are, well, defended for now. Both inhibitors down. The objectives are still on the map.
Yeah, 2 inhibitors down. It's just huge. They're going to be able to walk back and pick up this Drake. Soul point for Garden Gaming. I don't even know if we get another 5 minutes into this game with these powered minions, with these inhibitors down, pouring super minions into the base. Can you even step out for G2 Hell? They've been trying to find plays this entire game, and it's just never quite worked out. On that one, Lysia trying to find a snipe with that Call of the Forge God just doesn't quite work out, and what can you do? That being said, G2 Hell have left their base, possibly looking for a pick right now, pinging onto Ericsson. That's a hard target to try to get on top of.
It indeed is. They are still trying though. Colombo, just casually hex splashing over the wall, finds MKL, so now they have information. Still, with the power that Garden has, the gold lead almost 7k, item power spikes. There's more than I can even mention. If you look at the gold, the carries especially so far ahead. Even the AD LeBlanc chunking down Shah with just an auto attack and a spell. This final inhibitor tower defense is going to be critical.
You cannot lose this one. If you lose this inhibitor, it's game. You don't really come back from that position. You've got Ericsson pushing into the base right now. Shah trying desperately to defend and is having a real struggle with these minions. And look how quickly Ericsson is able to chunk down these towers.
Yep, just constantly using the dashes to reset the energized auto attacks. Already one gone as the super minions are flooding into the base. And G2 just can't find an angle to go for those wombo combo plays. Garden are playing it careful and just moving with care. As, again, Ericsson keeps up the pressure onto Shah. G2 finally push gotten out of their top side base and seem to have found a pace at which to play with.
Let's see how long they can hold it for right now. Garden Gaming just holding off, pushing in these waves. They're not looking to throw the game right now. All it takes, though, is one catch. It's been multiple team fights in a row now where Calculus has just gone down, takes a huge chunk once again from that true shot barrage. It feels like never able to play from full strength. This top lane turret continues to get chunked, but the base defense is good so far. You've only got one Nexus turret remaining, though.
Even with one Nexus tower, your Nexus is still safe though, so if they can keep this up, defend against the siege from Garden, they do have a bunch of income flowing their way constantly from the two open inhibitor lanes, but with only half HP left on the tower, Colombo wants to go in, but there's no one more combo left! Babash peels everyone away, still surviving underneath the tower as the fight keeps on going. LeBlanc's
base.
though, Caltis has to drag her support away just to try and get this LeBlanc out of there, but the rest of God is still inside, trying to get this game done and dusted. Bash still very low on HP, and they have no way to regenerate it. As G2 get another reset in. It's just so dragged out.
So slow. A painful bleed out right here for G2 Hell. This may be the final curtain call.
They are at least trying to get them. Both the Nexus towers are now gone, so it's only the bodies of G2 Hell left to defend. One of them down. Columba falls. Sheena trying to fight a pick onto the LeBlanc, but the Nexus now being hit down by Garden. Lysia, way too far up, will die to MKL. Still, just an absolute domination in the latest stages of the game from Garden Gaming, going up 2-0.
On Gaming looking really strong. I like the way that they played. This game was super close. For the first 15 minutes, back and forths, nobody got a grub advantage. It was one apiece on the Drakes. Whenever kills went to one team, kills went to the other team. And then all of a sudden, it felt like over-aggression out of G2 Hell, the Garden Gaming just capitalized on. They never got caught out, despite the fact that G2 Hell were trying to find picks in the mid lane, top lane, wherever they could. Never ended up happening. And man, oh man, was that Cassante one tanky boy. I mean, damn.
He indeed was, but I wouldn't even call it over-aggression from G2 Hell that got
Mm,
punished. It was necessary aggression because,
true.
well, you have a Callista, you have a Diego,
You have to
you
get
don't
something
want...
done.
You have to get something done because Callista will eventually fall off the cliff that she's known to every now and then hop off of.
Mm,
It's just the defensive play coming out from Garden
mm,
just shut everything down. And once it got to the phase where in the mid game they had two items
yeah.
on both of their side laners and the Ezreal in the mid lane just holding down the waves, it was hard. But we are gonna head to a short break once we set up the interview. Someone from Garden, do we know who? Ericsson is going to join us from Garden, so we'll be right back with that. into the stream. We're joined by Ericsson from Garden Gaming. Welcome and
Hello.
congratulations on your win.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Garden Gaming, off to a fast 2-0 start. I think you're looking like one of the stronger teams in our division. And a bunch of people were surprised that you, especially, are playing on Garden Gaming this season here in Division 2. So, how has it been playing on this side of the divisions with this team?
I mean, it's been very good, honestly. Like the reason I chose to join this team is just I think like the team synergy and just how we're actually playing as a team and like the overall vibe is just really good. So I thought like um, instead of going for a bottom tier team in ERL, then I can go for like a top team in Division 2, I guess.
Yeah, figures. I mean, you guys are definitely looking like one of the top teams, so something's going right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking pretty strong from you guys. What was the game plan coming into today? Because we saw a lot of restraint out of the entire team up until the point at which everybody had 2 items, and then it seemed like you just turned it on, found those fights. Was that something you'd already spoken about, or was that just how the game progressed?
Yeah, it was kind of how the game progressed. I think we had like somewhat rough early game. Like we kind of misplayed some fights, but I think we just kind of out macro them across the map. Felt like they wanted to brute force obviously, and we just kept pulling them around the map. So yeah, I think it was well executed.
I mean, the LeBlanc was looking super good. What's your read on the mid lane at the moment? How are you feeling about your lane? Do you think it's in a good spot, or are there things that you'd rather have changed a little bit?
I mean, I think the mid meta is a bit stale. There's a lot of like Azir Corki going on right now, and I'm not
Again.
the biggest fan of that. Yeah. But I see like some new champs also coming in, like Wei. It's like looking pretty fun to play. So I think it's a bit stale, but at the same time, there's some champs you can pull out in certain situations. So I'm fairly happy with it, I guess.
Well, thankfully, in for the next patch, we have Karma coming your way. You get to have a bit more fun pressing R's. It's
Yeah,
not gonna be.
that's really disgusting. That
Yeah.
champ.
Finally, what's your expectations for the season? I know this is a bit of a cliche question, but as you said, you aim to be one of the top teams. Are you feeling threatened by any of the teams in Div 2, or?
I mean, I'm actually surprised, like looking at some of the names in this league. So it's kind of higher than I expected, I guess. But yeah, we're for sure aiming to just win it all. So I'm looking forward to playing the other strong teams and see how we match up.
We are looking forward to that as well. Thank you so much for joining us for this quick interview. We'll be right back with our game 2 of the evening after a short break. Hello and welcome back to Division 2. We just had our first game where Gordon Gaming took down G2 Hell in a unexpectedly closer game in the early
Mm.
game, but eventually the macro was just unbearably strong coming out from the LeBlanc and Casante.
Oh yeah, it looks like Garden Gaming are gonna be one of our absolute strongest teams. I'm really excited to see them up against a couple of other teams that have been looking pretty strong. Which we've got one of those right now in Chaos. Chaos have been looking incredibly strong so far. Obviously, we've only seen one game, but just looking at the roster too, I really like what they're putting down.
Yeah, and Gauls, as it's pronounced, has most of their RPS core still there,
Mm.
with Certified and Reflect both there from the runner-up squad. So it's looking like an upgraded version of the RPS roster, which already was really damn good.
Oh yeah, and it's just nice to see teams stick together for a while because that's something that you don't get often at the start of a split, where all of these teams have got brilliant players, but they've never worked together before, and you're just sat there like, individually, awesome. Once you get out of your lanes, no, nobody is talking to each other. Nobody is moving together correctly. So having a team who has been together for so long, it gives them that extra level of macro that's just really nice. You are up against a Carolina squad that has a lot of members that we've seen around before, but it feels like new members, same old K5. They had a Nautilus mid last time we saw them.
Yeah, and K5 pretty much completely revamping their roster from the previous season, as you said
Mm.
previously, Bash, now on a different team, with overall low data on most of the players. I was doing some research beforehand, and they are all fairly new to our
Mm.
NLC region, so they could pull out some surprising stuff, just like the Nautilus.
Yeah. Crisp and Wantage in the mid and the jungle. I've seen them around a little bit, but not so much. Is that a sad face at the Corky ban? Are you
Yes.
You might be the only person who wants the Corky, because when you get the Corky, you get the Azir, and most of us normal folk, don't want that, but sure. Enjoy your boring mid lane matchup, as we see actually a lot of focus onto some of these APCs. Hue getting taken off of the board, as well as that Karma. The fact that she's getting buffed in the next patch, we are not on the patch where she's been buffed and she's still this prevalent in pick bans, says that she's going to be just ridiculous once we do move on to the next patch.
Yeah, it's almost like buffing Karma Q that is already chunking people to half HP is a interesting decision, but we'll have to deal with it. Lucian also getting banned out. Not really surprising considering the AD carrier playing against is certified random,
Mm.
who in the RPS showed great proficiency with it.
Oh yeah, he's certified random, just looks so smooth, and you've got a lot that works really well alongside the Lucian at the moment. The Nami, the Milio, the Janna even, all three of those can look super strong alongside this champion, so getting rid of the Lucian takes out what is the strongest bit of all of those duos. We're going to see the Rumble locked in immediately. Should be a Rumble in the top lane. We've seen it used to great effect by some, and in other situations just not get a lot done.
Uh, uh,
Well,
uh, uh,
hmm?
did you read the notes that I gave you earlier on? Because Drizenko is on the side of K5 who plays Rumble's support.
Ah. I did
So
not know
that is
that.
a possible
Okay.
flex pick
Yeah.
coming out from K5, but they have left the Barriers open though, which
Yeah.
has found its way onto the ban table quite often.
Yeah, because the Varus is just so strong. Lethality at the moment is in such a ridiculous position, and you just get to sit so far back as the Varus. The poke is insane. You can 1v1 pretty effectively with that ultimate as well. So, overall, it keeps you in a really strong position. And a lot of the supports, a lot of the Enchanter supports that we're seeing at the moment just work really well alongside. So we'll see what this second pickup is going to be. I'd be surprised to not see junglers picked up early on.
Oh,
No, instead, going to just straight up take the Ornn. It's a great matchup into the Rumble if you end up with the Rumble top lane. Whatever's top lane, Ornn is always going to be useful.
this is interesting though, considering that Nijo is the top lane now for Gauss, who is so known for his Renekton. And ever since he was on UniQ in Division 1, he's just put out performance after performance. I think he played it in the one win that they already have as well.
Mm.
So putting him on the weak side Ornn, maybe giving signs of some cooking going on that Cause is known for. Meanwhile, K5 sticking to the standards of Philios and Maokai being locked in.
Alright, Maokai jungle, not as strong as it has been in the past. You can still technically put it into the support or the top lane. There's a lot of flexibility. The only thing right now that we are certain about on K5's lineup is that the Aphelios is in the bot lane. Watch me say that, and now it ends up somewhere completely random. That would be very, very surprising, though. We'll see what Chaos wants to pick up for themselves, and it will be the Braum. Now, that's not something I've been seeing alongside anything recently, actually. Occasionally, when you're up against maybe a Karma Ezreal like we saw last game and you just want to block a lot, maybe even an MF, but into the Aphelios, you can do a decent amount with that Unbreakable. Still, he's not in this particularly strong position.
The Brom is also a takeaway from K5 because they
Mm,
have the Ornn locked in fairly early, so you now don't have the shield to completely destroy the Ram
true.
coming in with full force. As we head to the second ban phase, they're of course going to start focusing down more priority picks, usually paired up with Aphelios is the Milio, increasing the range that already is quite high, providing some additional utility when it comes to cleanses. Just an overall strong enchanted support on this.
Yeah, he's just in such a strong position. The Azir also gets taken away, so actually K5 are going to take both sides of that Corki Azir matchup off of the board. It does leave our mid lanes wide open right now. Fascinating to see where these mid laners want to go. Do we end up with another Nautilus in the mid lane out of K5? It would give you a lot of extra engage potentially, so, could be interesting. Not really expecting that though. Things like the Syndra Orianna still available, so some standard mid laners definitely still up.
Yeah. Bard also getting taken away. And it's still quite open for K5 regarding where they want to take this team. Because as I said, they do have a Rumble support player. So
Yeah.
this could end up being a surprisingly aggressive lane if they want to go for that. Usually we don't see Aphelios in those, but with the Tristana now being locked in, most likely going into the mid lane,
Mm.
they have a free counter pick there. And well, let's be real, the Maokai is most likely going into the jungle.
Yeah. It would be a little bit surprising to see it anywhere else. Maokai support has fallen off from the high heights that it was at previously, so has the jungle version though. It's still good, it gives you a lot of extra engage, and that's something that you do really need alongside the Ornn. You are just going to get out engaged if you don't have something else that you can just press as an engage button, get yourself in. With this Akali locked in, though, that's some backline threat that I absolutely love to see, especially with a Varus in the game, because Varus can do so much damage from so far away, but it's not that hard as an Akali to get on top of that Varus, blow him up, and then that's a huge amount of the damage from Chaos just gone.
Um, what do you finish off this comp with, though? This is going to be the reveal. Sejuani. Well, Sejuani? Sejuani top, Rumble support, Maokai jungle. Bran? Okay, well let's go on this side first. Let's go on this side first
Yeah.
because we've seen
Alright.
Reflect on this brand
Yeah.
quite often in the RPS.
Yes, it's super strong at the moment. You have to just sit and farm for the first while. You're not going to be ganking a ton. I mean, you technically can pull off a gank if you're an absolute mad lad, which, to be fair, Reflect is sometimes, but that's not the point of this brand jungle. Jungle is just looking to get yourself to the point at which you're in the skirmishes and team fights, and then you just spread the fire. You can burn everybody down, and with this composition you've got right now with the Varus and the Tristana, you've got plenty of AD damage. You're going to be the only AP threat, and it makes building tank into this Chaos composition really, really tricky. Brand
Sorry.
Jungle is weird, but fine. It's the K5 roster that's, yeah,
Okay,
interesting.
solving a little bit of technical difficulties that I was having. So, yeah, this is an interesting draft. We have to see where K5's members end up to confirm anything. We even saw a Maokai top earlier on
Yeah.
in the opening days. Stumpy, I think, was the one who brought it out. So, wouldn't be the first one. I completely zoned out on what you were saying because of the issues.
I was just going through that Chaos composition, saying that I like it. The brand jungle is a little bit weird if you haven't watched recently, but in the context of the current meta, it's fine. It does a lot. Once you get skirmishes, team fights, awesome. K5's composition is it's very
It
K5.
is.
It's very, very K5. I don't necessarily dislike it. I just need to see how you end up playing out these matchups because you've got quite standard on the other side of the matchup. And that can either work in your favor if you really know the matchup and your opponent doesn't, or if you aren't quite as well versed in these individual matchups and you end up falling behind. There's a reason that the standard meta is the standard meta. It is usually the most efficient way to play the game, so pulling something out of left field is fascinating. K5, though, I think they're in a position where maybe they think their individual roster isn't going to be strong enough to compete straight up 5v5, so let's play a little bit different. Let's pull things out, and I don't think that that's a bad way of looking at the game.
And this is a very well-versed strategy in Division 2, where some people find their own style, love to play it, and they bring out these odd picks. We, of course, love it when we, as casters, are surprised we don't have to see the Corkias here that we mention so often, and we get to see these spicier
Yeah.
picks and flexes. I'm just hoping that is the Rumble support that I found while scouting out. This would be such an interesting lane to look at.
Should be getting into this game pretty soon. There we go. Alrighty, and it's not.
No!
Rumble in the top lane. Alright, as we jump on into this game. Chaos versus K5 with some just crazy drafts. If you're jumping in and you haven't watched any of the new patch, you are very confused right now.
Yeah. Okay, well, now that we know where every single champion is, let's get it out of the way. Maokai support. Have you seen the win rate recently?
It's not good.
It is. It is 55%, and this is partially why, because usually it's Maokai getting these early game catches. Crimson running away with hat tricks, able to stack up the list, cancels an auto attack. Still gets him underneath the tower, no heal to give himself a bit more life. So early first blood on the Tristana, that's a way to start.
Apparently what we needed was the Braum instead of the Maokai. Just able to slow up massively, and with the damage you can lay down beside a Varus and a Tristana, really good. The Maokai support win rate is really good on the current patch. I thought it was a lot worse on the previous one.
I actually don't know about this patch. I just know that it's insanely high at the current moment when it's basically broke into the meta. This is the first competitive game that I see of it in a while. So Drazenko certainly up to today's standards. We'll get to see how it plays out when playing from behind, though, as yeah, this is a very difficult lane to play against. Braum Varus can be hyper aggressive.
Yeah, they can go in, but you can also sit back and just poke from so far away with those piercing arrows. That first blood is not going to affect too much in terms of this bot lane. It's mid lane where this is going to get really strong. You've already got a Dorans and a longsword right there for hat-trick, so in a super strong position to just bully out this Akali. It's already a pretty tricky lane because you're in a range versus melee matchup. Every time you try to step up and get yourself some minions, it can be so rough. You can see it from hat-tricks already having that level 2 and just pushing in wantage immediately.
And this is how the lane usually goes, even without a kill, but with the additional longsword, hat-tricks has so much more to pressure with, and Reflect is going to be very happy about that. This Brand jungle clears so fast and will be trying to contest the double scuttle eventually.
Absolutely, it does. You can't gank with it, really. Like, if you get a lot of setup from your individual lane, then potentially there is a way for you to get in. Oh, hang on.
Oh!
It's 1-1.
That is the first blood almost secured if the bot lane skirmish didn't happen. But with the short respawn time, Nijuiz won't lose too much out of this. Just a couple of minions to the cannon. Stardust getting the fast recall though as well will be able to get a kind of a cheater recall off of it.
Yeah, it's going to be in a pretty strong position. Boots and a book right there. So Stardust, yeah, in a very strong position. The fact that you can already dive an Ornn that early on at level 3 is completely insane. Really well played. The fact it goes 1-for-1 is honestly absolutely fine because Ornn doesn't need items and damage as much as you do onto a Rumble. So getting those early kills are going to be super impactful. Really going to allow you to also push in and try to help out around these grubs that are going to be spawning up at 6 minutes time. Get into that... Sorry, 5. That's 6.
Both of them give a grub, you are correct. Like one of them might, so... technically correct is the best kind of correct. Gal's trying to be technically killing the enemy as he finds a sapling in the brush, so won't be able to get a gank off here.
Nope.
And the brand just kind of hovering around, not able to find much as the scuttle has already been taken, so top scuttle alone on the map.
Yeah, we'll have to see who's able to get up to this one first. It looks like Crisp is going to be making his way up for this one as top laners continue to trade very heavily. Of course, you're all scared of rumbles during the early game, but don't forget that Ornn can assassinate people randomly. Plenty of damage up here, so any jungler that wants to get involved could potentially find some early kills in this top side. I think you do have to get there early though, because once this Ornn gets a couple of items under his belt, it gets a lot harder to try to gank on top of him. Crisp is going to be able to pick up this top lane Scuttle Crab. Reflect is still just clearing away. He's going to be in the bot side of the jungle when these grubs and first Drake spawns. Looks like he just wants to give up on these grubs and go straight for the Drake. It's a risky strategy, but I mean, if you can just pick up these Drakes and start stacking them, that is absolutely a win con you can play around.
It is also less risky when you have bot Prio and Tristana with the kill to back you up with. As bot lane, they are trying to go in, certified Crimson, trading auto attacks. Both of the AD carries die, and now it's portal combat between these two as interesting trade goes down on the bot side. Objectives being secured, but well, we're not seeing the passive early game we saw in the previous one.
No sirree, we certainly are not. Grubs gonna go over to K5. Chaos gonna pick themselves up that initial dragon. And the fact that both supports are the ones to have picked up these kills in the bot lane just feels terrible. You really want to be getting your AD carries, but at least it was for both. Nobody gonna get a real advantage out of that one. Neither jungle has really been able to find any particular ganks so far, which really is an onus on Crisp. With the Sejuani, you can find such effective early game ganks, and you're going to be a lot less useful during the team fights than a Brand, potentially. Matrix needs to be careful. He is stepping up. Has friends, though.
They're baiting Vantage in and trying to force the all-in onto the Akali. If Vantage tries to turn that around, there's a Brand and a Braum to back him up. Good try on the play, get the flash out of it, but nothing else for now.
Early game, very explosive, but only around the objective times, it seems, other than that first blood. So we'll see if that holds as a pattern for the rest of this game. So far, things have calmed back down just a little bit. We can see a recall coming out of Reflect. He's going to be able to grab quite a lot, I think. Has done pretty well in terms of farming early on. Yep, well on the way to picking up full Leandries.
They are trying to, again, keep all the lanes as covered as possible. Crisp just recalling down on the bot side as the wave is slow pushing in. Mr. W on certified. This play has gone completely haywire, but it may not matter as Shopsy is taking a bunch of damage. Has to flash away. Reflect joining the fray
Certified?
soon. They go underneath the tower. Cleanse used from Certified. Rizenko really low. No cooldowns either. Nice sidestep on the Winter's Vibe, but the chains go wide. Reflect still chasing K5 down. Surely the Maokai will fall. Finally getting the kill. As mid lane, we have a roam coming in for Stardust. As you say, there is no action on the map. Level 6s have been hit, and the Rift once again blows up.
Yep, and it was a K5 initiated play that just goes wrong. Unfortunately, doesn't land a W. And then you're just pushed way too far forwards. Reflector's in the area, gets the crap stolen away. Never mind, managed to pick up a kill in that fight as well, which is going to be huge. Reflector is going to be in a really strong position, and in these ganks, in these counter ganks, that's not where this brand really pops off. It's in these big skirmishes to team fights around objectives where you're caught in close quarters combat and can just spread that fire all around. That's where the brand is really going to be able to pop off. So the fact that he's able to get kills before this point is going to be huge. Bot lanes as well. Back and forth, super aggressive, but the CS difference in the bot lane is insane. If we could see the gold as well, because there should be an absolute canyon between these two, and there is about 600 gold at this point in the game, is massive.
And Hatrix, again, probably the best mid laner we have in the division. I'd put him up there with we have so many, like, we talked about this previously. We have so many good mid laners. We have Ericsson, who we saw in the previous game. We have Sumi. We have Hatrix. all of these insanely good mid laners just keep up the pressure so well. And even with the Tristana having a kill, K5 is keeping up. Look at the vision.
Yeah, they've put themselves in just a really good spot to not lose out on this advantage. You've seen it far too many times, I'm sure, where somebody gets the first blood, overplays, doesn't protect their flanks, and ends up losing out and just getting rid of that advantage that they found with the first blood. This is not the case right now. The CS lead isn't a canyon like it is in the bot lane, but it is still significant for hat-tricks. Plus that first blood gold means that they're in just an incredibly strong position, and because you've got that Tristana in the mid lane, it means that you can roam around to these fights much more easily. It's putting a lot of pressure right now onto Wantage. Oh, certified. Oh, no. Wait.
What? Oh, well, that's a trade kill he will take any day of the week. Just a random 1-on-3 kill as a Varus. Look at the CS advantage.
It's insane. Yeah, that's what I was saying with the gold difference. The gold gap is just ridiculous. We can see it again. It's now ballooned to over 1,000 gold in difference right now. Up a level as well is certified over Crimson. So is in such a strong position, finding a kill in a 1v3, and at the exact same time as they're going 1-for-1 in a 3v1. Reflect's just picking up the grubs, has now picked up, that should be 3 of them? 3 apiece. Yeah, 3 apiece, neutralize out onto that advantage. But with that initial Drake going over to Chaos, I'd say that they are sitting in a very strong position. Advantage gonna go to
No. It needs to be a little bit careful in all-inning this Tristana. Has the early Hex Trinket against the full AP top side, so a lot more survivability there than you might expect a Tristana to have the 11-minute mark. However, first items now starting to be built, and what my eyes are drawn to is the Leandries on the Rumble. Will be extremely strong. Teleport coming in. They want more on the bot side. Certified has the cleanse and flash to play with, though, as they instead turn their eyes onto the Braum. Shopty should be able to get away. Reflect is there as the ultimate goes wide from Chris, but that's another flash gone. The support will die, but rest get away.
Only 1 kill, a lot sacrificed for that, but you can turn right onto the Drake right now. Gonna end up being 1 apiece unless Reflect has something to say about this one. You're in a strong position, hat-trick certified, deal plenty of damage, and you've got the Ornn in the area. Could we see an Ornn horn coming through?
There it is. Trying to catch any stragglers out. Crimson has already flashed. Yeah, the tree has fallen, and we definitely heard it. Teleport to the top side of the map from the Tristana, actually grabbing those extra resources, leaving Ornn to the mid lane. Just a clean rotation to get a pick.
Sure, it's only a pick onto the support, but still, it's just more gold, more pressure that you're getting right here onto your bot lane, who are in just a super strong position right now, going to be pushing forwards and picking up multiple turret plates as well. This gold gap is just going to keep on ballooning. Varus cannot be far away from picking up that first kill right now. And it's just a great spot to be in as Chaos. They've got multiple members pushing towards them in the bot side, but I don't think there's anything you can really do right now as K5 to get on top of this Varus that doesn't include at least 4 members. You kind of need the Akali in the area to have that level of mobility to get on top of this Varus, who seems to be spacing out so effectively. Cleanse and Flash on cooldown though, so if there ever was a time to try to get a shutdown onto this bot lane, it would be now.
And it would be now. The question is how? With Vantage kind of being constantly shoved in the mid lane, Akali having to spend so much energy, so many cooldowns for the rotation, it's hard for K5 to get a collapse down on the bot side as Crimson again losing his cleanse due to the brand lurking within the brushes. Gauss just keeps punishing.
If that piercing arrow had have landed, that would have been 1 dead Aphelios. And yeah, you're right, the ability to just constantly get pushed in and find these little plays to just blow a summoner spell. That's all you need to do. Blow a summoner spell next time you get the kill. Don't overchase, don't over-aggress, take what you are given. Hat-trick's gonna limp away with his life, giving over quite a lot of gold right here to Starduster. Something we've not been paying too much attention to so far, but is in a very strong position. Bot lane? Oh. That was a hair's breadth right there.
Yeah, barely able to dodge away from it. Should expect the lane situation to go back to normal though with the Koenig Rooken finished. The Nishris should be able to match up against this Rumble a little bit better from here on out. But that's first tower now gone, and it fell quite quickly.
Yep, that's gonna be that first item plus most of the next being picked up as well right here for Certified. If we could get another little check-in on the gold, I just want to keep watching it as it balloons out of control.
Oh god!
We checked in first when it was at 600, then 1,000, and now what is that? That is about 2,000 gold ahead. Just an insane amount of lead, but that's not to say that K5 are just rolling over and letting this game happen. They've just picked themselves up the Herald, can use that to try to equalize in terms of towers. Still though, I would have to say that Chaos are in a very commanding position in this game. About a 3k gold lead overall, but 2k of that is just in the AD carry.
It does leave a bit of a damage profile issue for K5 though, having their AD carry be this far behind with a full AP team composition otherwise. So taking down this Tristana, this Ornn will be a huge problem when it comes to those 5-on-5 team fights if they cannot get Crimson into the game.
No, you need to get Crimson back into this one, but you're not out of it at any point as an Aphelios. All it takes is a couple of kills during a scrap, getting that next item. It's 2 to 3 where Aphelios really comes online. The spike is just a little bit earlier on right here for Chaos. 2 items is where the Varus was really coming online. Tristana, 2 to 3 again, but you've got that insurance through the Varus, and this composition overall just feels like it's in a really good position right now for Chaos. They've not got any objectives to play around quite yet. The Drake is on its way. See multiple members hovering around. Ninja does have the teleport in the top lane, so can join onto this one. It looks like Wantage is going to base, does have TP to rejoin if something explosive happens.
They don't really have a way to siege this middle outer down though. Even though they have a ranged engage options like the Varus, like the Brand, they need the Ornn to force the issue. And well, while Ornn is happy to take a free tower up top side, the rest of the team is stranded, just securing themselves at the resources that they try to find. Rumble forced to flash away, a bit of a pincer maneuver. They try to turn it with the Maokai ultimate, but no follow-up coming in. And teleport from Nishris, they can now set up for the Dragon. It's a 5-on-5, but no ultimates for Stardust and Drizzenko if they want to try and fight this out, pulled away from the pit. This is incredibly risky from the blue side team, but they may just have to go for it. Chains land, Maokai will lose a huge chunk. There's the Ornn ultimate, and they try to punish, secure the Dragon, and here's the Wombo combos flying in. Crisp is already dead.
Wow.
Drizzenko in the back lines, falling, hand tricks, and Certified random running a train onto K5, securing the ace.
That's a huge fight right there, and I just don't know why K5 went for that one. They'd missed out on their huge team fights ultimate in the Nature's Grasp and the Equalizer. They still try for it and end up getting aced. Drake goes over to Chaos as well, and this game that was already in their favor has just exploded out of control.
And this is the power that a Brand can have in an early game team fight when you have the follow-up CC from Braum, Varus, and Ornn. That team fight was just out of control. They couldn't move in due to the explosions and knockups everywhere. And K5 just really disrespecting the strength of cards.
Just stepping up in a situation where they had no right. I think that's something that you get during the early stages of the season, is teams limit testing a little bit, not necessarily understanding the bounds of their compositions. We're also right at the beginning of a brand new patch, but still, I feel like almost anybody can look objectively from their position behind the screen and say, hey, when you have the Equalizer and the Nature's Grasp missing, this isn't necessarily going to be a good team fight for us. Still though, we come out of that team fight, 2 items completed on the Brand. Nearly 2 items completed on this Tristana, and 2 fully done for this Varus. The amount of damage that you can just pump through right now as Chaos is absolutely insane, and the tanks are just not up to it right now. For K5, the best you've got is the Sejuani, and that's one completed armor item. What do you do about the Brand, who could just burn you down with the Leandries, and you can't even move because there's a Rylai's?
It is a struggle. Like this top lane fight, Stardust is just emergency burning his ultimate. They are in a 1 versus 2, though Vantage could get a huge shutdown. He's 700
Huge.
gold to the Akali, but the rest of Chaos are looking for revenge. Chains
no.
don't find their target, but stunned up and killed. Vantage eventually falls, and now K5 are left to defend with just a weak Aphelios and the front line. Miniwave quite far away though, and Baron not on the table for another good 30 seconds.
Not quite going to be able to go for this Baron once it is spawned and available, though. Going to be able to shred through it incredibly quickly with that double AD. Plus the Brand just going to be burning through that one. And I'd like, just quickly, to highlight the fact that this Braum has actually been really effective. We've been seeing Enchanter supports way more often. There's Engage going in. Oh boy.
This is a fight underneath the tower. Ornn already taken down, shut down all Crimson. Correct target, another kill going over. The Aphelios, a huge influx of gold. Advantage has made it back on the flank, fighting his way onto Certified. Random flash forward from Crimson, finds the root, finds the shutdown, and all of the sudden K5 finds the reverse. Almost ace.
Oh, if there were question marks around why you go in without Nature's Grasp and equalize for K5, I have even more questions for Chaos. Yes, you're in a super strong position, but Shutdown Gold is massive. Going in right there, it's such a bad decision. I don't know that it throws them this game. They're still ahead massively. You can see it. The bot lane gap is still an absolute canyon. But there was no need to make that play right there. 5 members up in the top side at low health, diving underneath a turret. You're not at that point where you can just disrespect the other team, because we are in Div 2. All of these teams are full of good players, and they will punish if you overstep that blatantly.
Once his Infinity Edge is ready for Crimson, the damage profile suddenly will be fixed. As you said, 2 or 3 items is where this Aphelios will start to actually hurt and be a pain for the front line of Chaos. And it's coming in close.
Yeah.
40 seconds for the Dragon. Crimson may have time to find a reset here.
Yeah, there is that potentiality. You need to be careful, just respectful as Chaos. You're still in a strong position to push forwards, try to find these engages and plays, but don't disrespect your opponents. Don't step up underneath their tier 2 and just stand there saying, "And what?" Because the answer was, you're gonna get yourself delayed aced. Teleport coming in right now. There is a lot of vision around the Baron 4K5, but it looks like Chaos just want to step up, go in. They are not scared.
Injury is still looking for the flank. They're kind of cutting K5 off of defending their tower. Knockup misses off the Crimson and pulls the flash. Nice equalizer on the floor. They're all stuck. They are being eliminated one by one, reflecting the front line. Will fall. Double kill to the Rumble. And K5 fighting back against the Chaos Force.
Oh, the disrespect strikes again. Chaos are beginning to throw this game, and K5 doing an admirable job right now of catching it as...
What on earth? Was that Hatrix going for an Insect, I think, instead selling out his own AD carry somehow in the situation? The game has been paused, or not. We're unsure what is going on. Probably come back to us. This is an interesting sequence of events.
This face, this is how I've been looking at my screen for the last 5 minutes. Just... what?
What?
I know this is Div 2, and we have some interesting games sometimes, but I was not expecting, on my bingo card of today, wasn't Chaos managing to put themselves in a position where they should have just cakewalked the game and throwing it in 2 plays.
It's
Disrespect. That was straight disrespect right there. That was saying, hey, we're really strong. We can just step up, walk forwards. It was something I was praising the team for being respectful during the early game, but all of a sudden, just stupid play top, and then again, just bad plays, and Chaos will know this. Even with that pause right there, they're going to have had a second to breathe, and they will know that that was dumb.
And as we get the game back rolling, this is a free dragon now for K5. And what originally was, I think, around an 8k gold lead or something like that has been reduced to 3 with key power spikes for most members of K5. All of a sudden, we're back to pretty much even ground.
Yep. Filio's basing right now gonna have completed that IH2 longswords as well. You could see the worth of shutdown gold, and all of a sudden there's no shutdowns remaining on Chaos. You've got a couple mid and bot lane 4k5. They put themselves in a position where actually you can step up now. You can be pretty aggressive, crisp in that last team fight. Managed to find a brilliant sedge ult into the backline to just lock people up. And you don't get to play disrespectful with the composition this squishy. Other than your Brom and your Ornn, your main carries are incredibly easy to kill, and there's a Akali on the other team. Wantage is a great player, knows when they can push their limits, and was getting into the backline really effectively 2 fights in a row.
It's just about positioning. Once again, we saw a similar thing in the game previously, where if you miss position and let the wombo combo go off, whether it be the brand, whether it be the rumble, AoE damage pop off, it doesn't matter how ahead you are, you will lose a fight if you are clumped up against one of these ultimates. And with this Baron now being on the table, both of the teams may at the DPS just rush it down.
There is still a 4k gold lead as well. We cannot say that Chaos have completely thrown this game. They're still in a very strong position. It's just nowhere near the level that it was previously. Baron is available. You've got this Ornn pushing in, threatening quite far up.
They are threatening more, with the ultimates flying in. 3 members of Chaos have been caught out. Reflect dies fast. Vantage is in the back lines once again, able to perfectly execute certified. Shotty is easy pickings, and Baron should be the target for them. Hatrick's only one left alive nearby. Even teleporting in, they want to contest this in a 2-on-4. Nijuis and Hatrick's feeling extremely confident with no cooldowns left on the table.
Forging.
They gave him the ornament.
Yep.
Just a little bit of extra stats. Knock up onto the affiliates. They found the carries on the back lines, but Hatrick's getting focused down. Knock up onto 2. Advantage is there. Almost bursting the Tristana down. Hextrigger keeping him alive. They want to get the Baron down fast. And Tristana is way too low to keep the contest up. And they secure the objective, keep themselves alive, and are turning the game around.
Atrix was so close to being able to wipe that team fight, but just didn't quite have the damage and was being kept so honest by Wantage. Wantage managed to land that shuriken and then was just able to threaten. If Atrix had have stepped up, would have just died. It would have been a complete disaster for Chaos, so they had to back off in the end, despite the fact that those health bars were blinking by the end. K5, they are now only 1,000 gold behind. They have clawed their way back out from a deficit, but at the same time, Chaos have just taken bad fight after bad fight. When you're clumped up, you're in a good spot as Chaos, but instead they're just getting engaged upon and stepping way too far forwards. K5 playing this one really impressive, not at all like the K5 that we saw in the last split, where when they got behind by a little bit, it felt like they didn't know what to do.
Well, considering most of the players are different, I hope that the team changes as well. And what I'm most pleasantly surprised about is after the Nautilus game not really going their way, they are managing with their own style find these picks.
Hatrix is dead.
Hatrix is gone. Reflect and Shofty still trying to find additional picks on the clapback. They do get the Maokai down, but now it's a 4-on-4 with their main carry in the mid lane dead. It's just really difficult to fight back against the K5 reach.
And they've got just so much aggression. And some of these plays out of Drazenko have been brilliant. Every single time when he's getting that bash back, it's just working out brilliantly for him in a way that I've not seen Maokai's do quite this effectively in a while. every single engage, it feels like, beyond that one that we saw early on in the bot lane, has been pretty much perfect. Obviously, a little bit too aggressive in this most recent one, ends up giving his life, but still, you get a main carry dead. Got Drake spawning less than a minute's time. Everybody from Chaos is here. Drazenko is on his way back in. It's going to be a straight up 5v5. We've got ultimates not quite up yet for K5, whereas over on the side of Chaos, they have everything available. So this is a strong position for Chaos.
They are trying to rush the dragon down instead of trading the mid lane tower for it, opening up the map a little bit for K5, and they have a nice flank with the Maokai ultimate to play with. They want to force down even more, even expending the equalizer to try and chunk Gauss down before the actual fight breaks open, retreating away to the top side jungle, not even wanting to fight. They got what they came for, evening up the gold in exchange for the dragon. It's a dangerous trade, but
It is. Dangerous because if you give over that Ocean Soul, that healing factor, especially on something like an Ornn or a Braum, who's just so tanky anyway, that can be huge. Can be the difference between living and managing to get that extra stun, that extra knock-up that you're looking for in a team fight, or getting bursted down. At the same time though, K5 picking up that mid lane turret means that they have equalized the gold. We are now back to dead even. This game, which was feeling so one-sided for Chaos, has exploded wide open, and at this point, I don't know which way I'm favouring. Ophelio's so good in the late game, so is a Tristana, though. You've got the ornaments out of this Ornn as well. It's all going to come down to execution, I have to feel. If you can land that amazing equalizer again that Starduster has done for the past couple, then you can set yourself up for success.
key member against all odds to watch is Crimson on K5. Most resistance items on Chaos is magic resistance. One good Infernum ultimate, one good crit from the flamethrower is enough to burst down every single member that Chaos has clumped up. The only thing that at the moment Chaos has going their way is the side lane.
Yeah. You have a really effective 1-3-1 with this composition, but it's still risky because anytime there's an Akali on the board, you could just get in onto this Tristana pretty easily, despite the fact that she's got that rocket jump. You don't necessarily mind too much about that as wantage, so you've got to be careful. You can see Hatrick's just going to go back to base, join up with the rest of his team. We're not going to have a Baron for another couple of minutes, no real objectives on the board, so I could see lanes just being farmed, but if anybody steps just slightly out of position, the amount of damage that we have in the current patch is just huge. This Akali can burst somebody incredibly quickly. The magic damage overall that K5 have on their team is pretty insane.
That magic resistance, we'll see. I think Certified won't get popped for unknown reasons. It may have something to do with the Jack show he has in his inventory, but it is one of the better ornaments, if I remember correctly, as well, getting a
so strong.
huge amount of stats from that. So Certified will be difficult to take down if he can find himself an extended fight. These fights just don't seem to last very long.
No, they do not. An extended fight would probably work in the favor of Chaos, like you're saying, but we're just not seeing that because you do have the ability to just pop somebody. The Aphelios wouldn't mind an extended fight, but the Akali has already killed somebody. The Rumble has burnt through somebody's whole health bar. Engage!
They found a Maokai. Equalizer onto 2, as Crimson has the proper weapons to keep this fight going if they want to, even with one man down. Nishu is burning down, Vantage flashing in! He's found the carries! Brand and Braum off the table! K5 once again fight the fight! Crimson completely destroying the health bar of Certified. Hatrick's only one left alive, but the AD carry of K5, who had such a rough start, forcing himself back into the game, securing the ace. That's 30-second death timers. K5 could look for the game here.
They could. They do a ton of damage to these turrets. Ophelia is just going to be able to shred through this one. The minion wave is pretty weak. Got another one incoming. I don't know if they can end right here. 20 seconds. They might well be able to. It's up to Shofty to be able to slow down this push. This is the game.
They are actually making the comeback. What looked like an unbeatable gold lead on the side of Chaos. K5 come back and even it to 1-1 for both teams on the score tape.
There are
Whoa.
games that teams win, and there are games that teams lose. And with all respect to K5, because the way that they came back in that game is very impressive, Chaos lost that game. They had everything in their hands. It's not like they had a brilliant early game composition that they just couldn't close with, but they were going to get outscaled anyway. They had enough scaling to keep up, but they were cocky. They stepped up in situations where they just shouldn't have done. They lost a big fight top lane that they had no right to be in. They lost a big fight mid lane they had no right to be in. And from that point on, Carolina were then back, and they then played a very clean game. Their lanes got smashed in the early game, but as soon as they got a little bit back, that was it.
But what I want to give props for is the brilliant execution that K5 had in this combat. The team fights to punish the mistakes from Gauss were immaculate. The Rumble equalizer onto
So
the
good.
full team in the mid lane, absolutely beautiful. After the rough early game, Crimson coming back with the Aphelios, playing the fight up to a T, and they just figured out, hey, we can actually win this game, and punished perfectly.
So impressive. I'm really impressed with Carolina. Some teams, when they get that far behind, just collapse. They did not. They found their plays. And sure, I'm putting a lot of blame right now on Chaos. In part, that's because I think they're a really good squad and they know better. They're going to look back at this one and be absolutely face planting. You know, they know what they've done wrong, and I believe in Chaos to be able to come back from this one. But I'm so impressed with Carol and Erna for keeping their heads and being in a position where the second that there was an overstep, they punished so effectively.
But with that, we will be taking a short break to set up the interview. Crimson will be joining us after that comeback. We'll get to hear from him how it felt to play. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back. We have Crimson from K5 joining us after that massive comeback game. Congratulations on the first win of the
Thank you.
season.
Means a lot.
And yeah, let's just kick it right off. We on the cast just completely thought that the 8K plus gold lead was uncomebackable. How was the team able to pull that together and make such an insane comeback?
I think first of all, we have a new staff member, the coach guy. We have a coach now that is really good with draft, and I think the draft was pretty much comfort, so we know what to go from there as champion wise. We had a bit of an unfortunate event that led to CS lead between me and Varus getting a bit bigger and bigger, and every time we tried to do answer to fix the waves, and it just kept getting worse, and we were in a really bad position, and it seemed like we kind of like we didn't really lose hope, but we felt like it was more harder for battle, and we had like a play in top lane. I think we had like a really great fight, and we kept on pushing, and we got really motivated, and I think it was a nice team spirit, and I think we kept each other going and corrected each other.
I mean, alongside that, can you give us a little look into comms? Obviously, don't give everything away, but who is it that's shot calling on the team? Who is it that was, keeping everybody together? Was there somebody saying, hey, we're fine, we can pull this one back? What's the communication like in the team?
I think we had a lot of great dynamic. I think it changes a bit from what type of play we were doing. I think if you guys can remember the game, we had like a time where we broke mid tower in a tower mid. We had a Maokai, for example, delaying them all. We had an equalizer on top of that, which was really coordinated by our support, and we had our mid laner Vantage. He was really good with being like calm and collected and saying how we should kind of exit the play and how we should like move on from this to another thing, like for what we should bring out as like an exit resource, like taking camps, clearing vision, and yeah, etc.
Yeah, I mean, it looked really clean from where we were sat. On a slightly different path, I've been asking as many different players as I can at the moment. How do you feel about AD carry at the moment? How's your role feeling? Do you think you're in a good spot, bad spot? What would you like to change?
I, if I were to say like AD carries, like they get a lot of attention and people call them often crybabies, and there's a good reason for that. If you're playing like AD carry and just handshaking bot lane in like a Lulu Aphelios into Seri Yuumi matchup, just sitting there bot and not doing much, and then you go out of lane and you meet like a K'Sante that has 400 armor and just like sends you to Narnia. I think that's a really bad feeling, I would say. But I must say that I do enjoy being like play around, and if we can if like a small thing that you can like get an advantage on, like for example managing the wave properly and getting, for example, a slow push and then getting into a dive, be like getting ahead of enemy team, you can really excel from the AD carry role, and it can mean a lot on the game. But it could also be the feeling of like not having too much impact if your team are not willing to play around you. You're not going to be the important piece. It's like AD carry is a really broken role in itself, but if you get fed, that's not always up to you.
I think that's the first opinion on AD carry recently that hasn't mentioned the red side tower try brush dive thing.
Yeah, yeah,
but
but
yeah, it as you say, AD carry is such a super strong role if you play around it properly. And you guys definitely got you back into the game after the huge CS deficit. Last
yeah,
but not least, we already talked about this in the previous game with Ericsson, who came to the interview. There's a ton of really strong players, especially in the AD carry and mid lane roles. Even in this game, we had MKL and Hatrix up against you. As a more of a newcomer into the NLC scene, how does it feel to be able to match up against these insanely good players?
So a concept that I took from Viger V2. I don't really like pay attention to all of his content, but some of his coaching is really good. And he has this advice for when he sees people use like overlays to use like Professor and just like constantly give yourself this feedback of looking at players and like admiring them. And even though you say to yourself, we're still playing in the same game, we're in the same like tournaments, we get the same reasons. We're like we both got here, but it kind of the subconsciousness will really like start tweaking a bit. Like it will like almost like be like uneven. You should like really try to like think about the game as if they make a mistake, they make a mistake regardless of who they are as a player. If they ending up like messing up the wave state and you can punish it, It doesn't matter if it's Gumiyushi or like if it's an Iron player. The thing is, the reason why you gotta like think that if Gumiyushi, you know, like messed up the wave, it might be a reason for it. But if Iron player messed up the wave, they might just do a blunder. And I think that's the important part to recognize, that it's still the same game, no matter what the players are. But you should always keep in mind that they might do this for a set of reasons. So try to not be too intimidated and still play the same game as it's always been.
What we can get out of this interview is mental strength is clearly K5's strongest suit coming into this season. Thank you so much for joining us for the interview. We will head to a short break
Thank you for having
and
me.
swap of casters until we have the final game at the evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to NLC Division 2. My name is Cow, for once in front of the camera, and with me today I have Zika. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I mean, great sitting here, just being able to cast. Been a while since I've casted, actually, and not just done production, so got my hands free, got my mouth open, and ready to see some banger games.
It should be a pretty banger game indeed. Unique up against Fourth Wall. I don't know too much about these rosters myself, but there are two players whose eyes I'm definitely on one on either side. The first being Warrior. Now, Warrior, Chinese superstar playing from China. I'm curious to see how that goes because I can't imagine the ping will be nice.
Yeah, I see ping definitely being an issue, and we'll have to see if the champ pool maybe reflects that. I know, maybe there's some point and click champions you maybe could play. One maybe with a tree or something. I don't know. Then the other player we kind of talked a little bit about. I think we're going for the same one here. Synapse.
Yes, Synapse. I have worked with Synapse in the past, back in UKL 2021. Very good individual player, can play a variety of different styles, really gives flexibility to any team that he's on. So I'm definitely excited to see how this goes.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And we're already starting to see a couple of bans coming out as well here. We have Draven being banned, Varus and LeBlanc. We saw LeBlanc early in the day with the AD LeBlanc already being still here and still being as obnoxious as possible. It was a sad day when I said that. I'd rather see LeBlanc one-shot me than do DPS damage to me. And Azir being banned as well.
Azir also a very strong pick at the moment with the changes to soldiers to proc on hit effects. Nash's and Lich Bane very, very strong on this champion. Half your health is gone in one Q if you're not careful. Lucian being taken away as well, another one of these very strong early game picks that has that flexibility, kind of like the Tristana we saw Hatrix pilot in that last game. Interested to see what this last ban of the first phase will be before we head into the first three picks for either side. It'll be the Nocturne.
Maybe. I mean, Nocturne is going to be getting banned as well. So one of the reasons Nocturne is being banned as well, just global ultimates, and has been very present recently. And we do see an Orianna pick in the first spot here. So that already opens up a lot of options here for the mid lane of Unique.
Yeah, it definitely opens up a hell of a lot of options in this situation. I'm just going to see Ashe Zinzao locked on the other side. Zinzao, one of the best junglers on this patch, one of the best users at abusing the Titanic Hydra Sundered Sky first two items. And that's the tree.
And there's the tree, and that's going to be we did see Maokai being on the support, but I mean, just a little bit on Warriors Shampoo and also just the ping as we mentioned. I'm expecting that to be in the jungle. It's quite an easy champion to play on high ping. So we'll have to see. I mean, Ashe, not that easy to play on high ping, and we do have an Aphelios that's going to be paired against that Ashe in the bot lane. So I'm kind of expecting a mid lane to actually be picked here from Unique. I think that personally that would be a nice choice. As much as I hate to say it, maybe Corki is a good option here against the Orianna.
It would make sense to go something like Corki Syndra here. You already see the enemy mid laner. You can... Okay, or we just Orn it. Synapse on duty.
Orn duty. Yeah, how was Orn for Synapse back when you guys worked together?
Pretty good. So I had the luxury of playing with three very strong lanes, so we could draft pretty much whatever we wanted and have it work in some capacity. The Ornn was not really something we pulled out a lot, but Ornn not a very difficult champion, and I have seen Synapse's Ornn in the UKEL split just gone, where he was playing, and it is pretty solid, pretty good ults, generally pretty safe in lane, but Synapse is known for pulling the weirdest lane kills out that nobody ever expects. So if it's a good matchup for the Ornn, maybe we see a solo kill as Victor's Shen is banned away. Victor, a bit of a weak side player, is a bit of a Shen enjoyer. We'll have to see what they match now that Shen is taken away. Jax, the other pick taken off the board.
Yeah, so that kind of does leave a couple of options, right? Gnar still, in my opinion, an okay top laner to you could pick that against the Ornn. I mean, solo lane, it's not the funnest part, but at least you're able to match the team fighting. Oh,
Surely not.
Yes.
You've got
Yeah.
no AP.
No. Yeah.
You've got no AP.
I mean,
Twist of Fate is solid, and it can still be ADTF with the buffs.
I was about to say that still could be an AD mid laner. And ADTF has actually been pretty obnoxious, almost on the same realm as LeBlanc to a certain extent, which is kind of tough to say. But again, the top lane and the bot lane pressure you just have by just moving out of vision and being instantly able to press at R and join in on the team fights or the skirmishes that are on the side lanes, it's going to be very hard to actually deal with the composition that Forest Wall is picking for themselves right now. And we do have an Aatrox top lane and a Bard being hovered.
That's not a weak side top laner for Victor.
It's not a weak side top lane.
That's... Are we seeing the Victor strong side? Is that what we're seeing this game? That's something we don't ever see.
This is peculiar. So, I mean, Nautilus being paired with the Aphelios makes a lot of sense against the Ashe as well. Immobile indeed. So what we'll have to see. Ashe, Renata, a good choice here, I think, is able to disengage a little bit away from that Nautilus as well. And a hostile takeover could be pretty damn brutal and is a great disengage tool because of the Maokai wants to be fighting in those choke points, and Renata does so too. So who pulls the trigger first is kind of the one who loses, it feels like a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the Nature's Grasp does make playing fights a lot harder, but it's not going to matter because as soon as you see that Nature's Grasp coming at you, you can press the hostile takeover. Sure, Nature's Grasp isn't committal. It's a very non-committal ability, but so is Hostile Takeover. If you're just trading those ults for a way to stop a fight from happening, neither team is complaining. Especially not if you're unique, because you then have Call of the Forge God, you've got Enchanted Crystal Arrow, you've got Destiny's Gate gold card combo to really start these fights off, whereas once that Nature's Grasp is down, you're really only looking at Dredge Line Depth Charge, maybe a long-range Vigil, Gravitum route, maybe a Miracle Shockwave. You don't have solid ways to start a fight once the Nature's Grasp is down, really. You're very much looking at more picks. So Fourth Wall definitely going to have to temper their fights a lot more and hope that hostile takeover is used before they get the Nature's Grasp out.
So one of the things I'm kind of like thinking about as you say this, with the gold card being a quite pivotal point here for Unique, do you go rapid fire cannon on this TF?
I think you go rapid fire cannon on pretty much every TF build. This one it's a bit more dangerous because you are still solo AP, so you need the pen at a point in your build, ideally third, fourth item. So you need to decide which one means more to you, something like that Void Staff, that Crit Bloom, that Shadow Flame, or if you are looking more towards the rapid fire third into the pen item. Hard to say, but in a game where you're up against Aatrox, Orianna, or Aphelios, you really do need that rapid fire to be able to find these picks from longer range. Because once that gold card has landed, you've got a very good pick comp with that Enchanted Crystal Arrow, as prior mentioned, into something like the Handshake, into the Wind Becomes Lightning, into Knock Up from Xin Zhao. You've got a lot of different ways forwards off of your pick tools on Unique. And your team fighting is still relatively good because you can disperse that CC across multiple members. Whereas again, with Fourth Wall, you already are relying on that Maokai Nautilus. So it'll be interesting to see how fights play out and how these teams opt to play them. But I'm not sure which way I'd send it.
It's definitely hard to say, and we will be figuring that one out as we are going to be getting into the last game of the day, Fourth Wall against Unique. We are in on the Rift, and let's see how the fighting is going.
Gonna be just a standard cover for now, it would seem.
Yeah, and Warrior, as we talked about, playing from China here, is going to be seeing how that one goes with the ping. I mean, hopefully we don't see any miss Ws. It's kind of hard to miss that one. Top lane. Again, though, focusing a little bit back onto the top lane here, though, Aatrox versus Ornn. It is Servicta on a strong side top laner, so I never know how Aatrox Ornn is supposed to go. I actually don't know how any Ornn lane is supposed to go, because if there's just a mistake that Ornn makes, it feels like the lane is just over for Ornn. But if Ornn can find a mistake from the enemy laner, he finds a solo kill, suddenly he just takes over the lane in such a dominant way that it's so hard to come back from.
So Ornn lanes are you're right, they are very dynamic, but generally speaking, Ornn into Aatrox, you're looking at maybe something like just denying an engage. Of course, Darkin Blade has triple knockups, Infernal Chains has the pullback. you've got an unstoppable in your kit that you can use to just kind of say, nah, I don't want to fight you. If you really need, you can then Searing Charge away. And on level 6, you've got Call of the Forge God. This Aatrox can't aggress onto you. You're very safe. But as you say, if Sir Victor makes a mistake in this lane, it's going to be very, very easy for Synapse to find some kind of solo kill, because Ornn does so much damage in the early stages of the game because of the % health damage from Brittle and the CC duration increase from Brittle, that it's going to take a lot to find yourself in a position where this top lane is really explosive without jungle attention anyway.
I see. So, two things I do want to point out though, is Warrior is sitting on that phase rush, which doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it, just like a little bit of a short term, right? It's the phase rush, get onto the Ashe, get sped up, get slowed down, but get sped up enough so you can actually get behind her and still have a decent engage and knock back, right? And this TF with first strike is not something I actually would have thought we would ever see. Basically because the reason that it just doesn't feel like you have that big instant damage, it feels like, and you're more sustained damage than anything. So I would have liked to see it electrocute, but this is my mind from like Thunderlord's meta back in the day, but that's when I played TF Lost.
So the first strike is pretty good because you're already getting gold from killing minions, right, with loaded die. If you can also get good trades, if you tag someone with wild cards, if you find a good gold card in the middle of nowhere, you're going to be finding yourself in a very, very good position to get a lot more gold off of this first strike. Even if you only tag them with 1-2 abilities, it's fine. You've also got a very high burst combo on your first 2 abilities, especially if you have stack deck going as well. So there is a lot of gold to be had from first strike, and into lanes where you outrange your match range, it's very, very hard to have it poked off of you. So we're seeing it more than the likes of Electrocute, more than the likes of Fleet, into matchups like Orianna that don't necessarily have the easiest time forcing you to farm under your tower.
And also we do see with the Twisted Fate that we does have the new rune that I do not remember the name of, but it has that one who gives you a potion at 3, 6, and 9, I think it is, where level 9 you get a free skill point. And that's pretty damn huge, to be honest.
Triple Tonic, I believe, is the name of the rune. You get the Elixir of Avarice, I think, at 3. You get the Elixir of Power at 6, and the Elixir of Skill at 9. I believe Avarice is just a little bit of, I think it's mana regen. I've not used the rune, I'm not sure. That was gank.
Flash coming in. It's going to be knocking him back in first spot. Easily going to be picked up by a Warrior here. It's going to be more fighting in the bot lane as well. Holmberg looking to get out of this one. Pipe is going to be missing the snipe. Kanske maybe in a little bit of trouble here. Pulled back. Not going to be rooted up though. Auto attack not coming in time.
Fourth wall coming out the gates, punching in this game. A play in mid, a 2v2 play in bot. Both Holmberg and Kanske have to leave lane at this point. KVW TP'd back, but isn't finding great success with this first strike. I guess the Orianna definitely proving to be a bit of a pain. Void Grubs are up.
Void Grubs are up, and here's like the issue and why I kind of alluded to the rapid fire cannon first, right? Orianna will always just have more than range than you in this scenario, it feels like, right? The ball will just be an instant engage before you can even get in auto attack range off that gold card in the later stages of the game. And already in the lane phase, you can see a hint of that, right? Ball is just going to be used, deny the first strike off of the TF, and just make that rune he picked right now as a pretty useless. But later stages in the game, that first strike will be helping out quite a lot.
Does have very good scaling damage, and if you can get that gold card off first because of the range of rapid fire, you're still within wild card range. You can still get a good bit of damage down just for this first strike. Is unique. Looking to lick their wounds, just taking the first dragon. Nobody contesting grubs just yet either. So we could see a fight around that. I'm not quite sure we'll see the 5-man grubs that we saw earlier in the day, but we could definitely see something close.
So far in the season, though, I'm still very unsure where I place on the priority list Void Grubs. It feels like it is very strong, but you gotta commit to both of them. You gotta get up to at least 5 stacks and start getting those minions to pop out, because if not, it's like, yeah, it's a dot, but it's
The way I gauge their value is, can you get a minimum of 4? If you get a minimum of 4, you've got 2 above your enemy, which means your siege is still just going to be better. But also comp dependent, right? If you've got a comp that doesn't really push well, they're great. If you've got a comp that can push extremely well, they're not a necessity. They're nice, but they're not really going to make a huge impact because you're already killing towers quicker than you're killing enemies. But if you're a comp that kind of does a little bit of both, you know, good sieging and good team fighting, they can really turn the tides of a game, because while you have someone on the side, you just kind of exist in a side lane.
If you look at bot lane, this is the second time, sorry to cut you off there, but this is the second time Gallop is here in the bot side, and TF coming in as well, cancelled by the Shockwave, low HP as well, being chased down, doesn't have the flash, so, but Toxi does. That's going to be a simple kill for him.
Gallop lives on an inch of his life. I'm very, very surprised there. And Fourth Wall just reading the play again. Beautiful Shockwave from Toxi to cancel the Destiny coming through from Twisted Fate. And getting the solo kill as well really, really shows just a good read on the situation. You see the dive coming, you know TF's going to look to be ulting. You just have to try and guess where he is, and very nicely done indeed.
Yeah, using the 1cc ability to cancel it. I think that fight, if we had something in the bot lane that actually continued after the Destiny finally came in, I think it would have been a pretty heavy win over to Unique in that scenario. So the cancel there, pivotal to make sure that the bot lane of Fourth Wall stays safe.
Now we just have to see what happens. No objective for another 2 minutes or so. First set of grubs did go over to Fourth Wall, who already have quite a good siege comp anyway. Aphelios are very good at killing towers with red, white, green, white. You know, Orianna, once you get 2-3 items, you're going to be hitting the towers quite hard anyway. Aatrox, a pretty big side lane threat in and of himself. But on the flip side...
We are going to get an engage though. Pullback's going to be there. You're going to be denying the ultimate from Pipe is going to go through though. Gallop is here, has the ultimate. Nautilus going to be dead as well. Will they follow up on Pipe? No, they will not.
Good punish of over-aggression coming through from Unique there to take something back for themselves. Could have been a little dangerous if the fight had continued. Aphelios managed to land double Crescendum ult. So had a good number of chakrams, and that can really be a fight turner at this stage of the game. It can be a fight turner at any stage of the game, but early game especially, you just don't expect that much damage coming out of the mirror chakra.
Could have been brutal. It could have been brutal for a second there, but Gonska had a really nice deny there onto Fabiox, making sure that they couldn't get into the range here. And we're kind of just back on here with a 1k gold lead for Fourth Wall. If we could quickly have a look at the gold and see where that one is. After the fight here, bot lane, though, never mind. Renata going to be denying herself the death for a time being. Holmberg flashing over the wall. Piper is going to be getting that kill onto Gallop, it feels like, unless he can get something done here by his teammate, and that's not going to be the case. Top lane is going to be almost a solo kill, and it's not going to go over for Synapse just yet, but he is still looking for it.
And again, just all action in this bot lane. We see Kansha fall quite early into that play. It's a double kill going over to Pipey. Aphelios is now on the board and going to get very, very scary. Meanwhile, on the top side, we see what we mentioned earlier really start to come to light. Synapse finds a kink in Victor's armor and is able to push him to the limits, almost killing him. If the ult was up, he probably would have been dead, but it was used earlier in the play. So now, you got 35 seconds on the next dragon. Your bot lane, it's not in a strong position to fight compared to the enemy bot lane. It's about 1,000 gold lead on this Aphelios alone, a 500 gold lead on your mid laner. In terms of meaningful gold leads, you need to be very, very careful trying to contest this Drake as Unique. But on the flip side, you got first Drake, it's an ocean, you don't really have to fight for it. I'm curious to see what will happen, because the vision controller around said objective for Unique at the moment seems to be favored, but only slightly.
Yeah, and it is that gold lead in the bot lane that will shine through, right? The snowball is already rolling at this point, 2,000 gold lead almost, and that's and it's even a Drake in the favor of Unique as well, right? You gotta remember that one. So, just a summoner check before the Drake's fights are starting. Top lane has TP for both of them. Unique, KVW has the ultimate, is already here though. Gonna be looking to see here. Fourth Wall is looking to see if they can maybe contest this one though, but Drake is going down quickly. Gold card is being hovered around, making sure that there's nobody who can get in here. Drake being pulled out, going low as well. Nature's Grasp is going to be used here. Ultimate is going to be great as well. The Warrior looking to see if he can do something here, though. Pipe joining in on the fight just a little bit too late here, it feels like, as Gallop is on the front line, making sure he's getting all of the kills. Gallop getting more and more kills. A double kill for him. Destiny is going to be used to make sure that they get more than they can manage, because right now Holmberg taking low. Pipe looking to salvage what is left as a triple kill comes through, and KVW looks like he is dead, as Fabiox is going to be joining in on the party soon. Sniper is going to be missing here, looking to maybe get an execute, if anything.
Could
Still on the
happen.
run.
I mean, full Kraken Slayer from this Aphelios, really proving that it has what it takes to win a fight, even when the fight starts in an suboptimal situation. I mean, Holmberg getting Warrior, but it doesn't matter when Pipey shows up and just starts killing the Krakens. Well, I mean, there were no Krakens to kill. It's measly players. They're gonna fall very, very quickly to a Kraken Slayer at this stage in the game. 5-0 now for this Aphelios. Terrifying coming into the next stage of this game.
And those voice grubs who we're talking about, double of them is going to be picked up. Yes, Drake did go over to Unique, but
6 grubs.
I would have been on the side of fourth wall in that trade, to be honest.
Yeah, I would have been happy to be fourth wall. I mean, I'm an Aphelios player, so I would have been the Aphelios. I'm very happy to be in that situation. But, you know, even happier knowing that we get all 6 grubs. And, you know, this Aphelios and Oriana, who are already really, really strong, are just going to start to kill these towers so damn fast.
And as a quick note as well, Rodovages has come through. And we are going to be seeing at 23 minutes roughly that 10 stacks are going to be shining through as well, giving him that extra skill point. So at what, level 15 he will have level 17 spells? Something like that?
No,
because
so they got rid of that from Rod of Ages.
Oh, they did? Okay, that
Yes,
shows how much I've been keeping up.
Which,
Alright, okay.
thankfully, otherwise it would be the most broken mage item in the game.
That's fair enough.
I didn't
read the
see
patch
the
notes.
elixir. I didn't see the elixir come through either, so we'll hope that that was used and not sold. Fingers crossed.
I think it's like the same as Kleptomancy, right? Back in the day, where it's like, yeah, you can sell it, but you get like 10 gold for it. So
I think so.
good job.
Biscuits are the same now, right? As well, I think magical footwear is the only thing that sells for anywhere close to its normal amount.
Why would you sell magical footwear?
I don't know. I mean, if you are like close to your second item spike by the time you get it, because you've been snowballing so hard, why not?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. Anyways, Rift Herald is on the menu here, meaning that fourth wall's gotten all of the objectives on the top side. Unique getting all of the objectives on the bottom side. Still looking a little bit more in the favor of fourth wall, though. Going to have a lot of pushing power as an opportunity arises, and top side is going to be used as well. Lane swaps has come through as well. Servicta being forced to the bot lane, and Holmberg being the one who is going to be covering that one. Top lane turret being destroyed as well. And we are going to be getting some drifting here. Maybe they can get in time before they get the crash. They are not going to be able to do so.
Bonking into the tower. Driving the Herald is so much fun.
But it's so buggy. It's like, I tried getting it, I tried using it, and I was like, what is going on? But what is also going on is a dive attempt in the top lane. No minions, however, but tower are going to be going down. Warrior Wing as siege minion. That's not what you want to see. That is the Chinese ping coming through a little bit.
Could have been to get close enough to get the slow from the Bramble Smash, but it doesn't make a difference. It's an Ornn. Realistically, you're never going to kill him very quickly. You see Gallop just looking to take solace in the enemy red buff. Take anything that they can get.
Yep. They are just making sure we're not at 20 minutes yet, right? The full sharing of the buffs is coming through. Drake being up in 30 seconds as well. Quick summoner check-in. Flash not available for the Ornn, but ultimates from everybody is available except for Servicta. We only have that one in time for the fight. We will have to see top lane duty for KVW as of right now. We should see him moving towards the bot lane very, very shortly. It is a Mountain Drake after all, which would be very, very helpful for both teams in these scenarios. Mid lane control being fought over as well, making sure that they can get the push, get the advantage on that while the fight is happening. look at the positioning from Unique. It's so passive. Fourth wall, they're just chilling. They're making sure, and they know that this is what is up. As right now, the engage is going to be happening here as well. Servicta going in on the backside, beating Berserk, flashed forward though. Gallop still tanking up a lot of damage. The stun card is going to be through, but Warrior with a great flash, the shockwave is coming through. It is getting everybody, and KVW stands alone on the other side, and Holmberg is the only person left alive.
Another triple kill for Pipey off the back of a beautiful fight from Fourth Wall. Allows them the mid tower. It allows them the dragon. It probably allows them a second mid tower. And it's Aphelios going to have that second item on this recall as well. Just beautifully played from Victor. Beautifully played from Warrior. Toxie and Pipey doing everything they can as well. An absolutely insane fight coming through. Holmberg, as you mentioned, the only one left standing in this. Ashe only on a Blade of the Ruin King, cannot take on the world just yet.
Not just yet. And one of the things I have to say though, Toxie, with that ultimate, he held it for so long, it feels like. Everyone was just stutter stepping, making sure that I don't want to get hit by it, I don't want to get hit by it. And bam, there it is. Because you can't do anything without it. Without it being used, I mean. And we still have Unique still looking to see if they can get something here. Pipey has Cleanse ultimate going to be used. The fight is not over apparently, as ultimate from Ornn is big. It's huge, but the follow-up is non-existent. Gallop is going to be dying on the other side, trying to see if he can find something off of that. But what are they doing?
A desperation play coming in from Unique. Gallop, the only one able to get anywhere close to the backline. KVW's entire combo cleansed away by Pipey. Has to leave immediately after that. Synapse is stuck over a wall. He can't join the fight. A very, very desperate play coming through, and they still don't win out. If we check on the gold, it's a 2.7k gold lead for this Aphelios alone, and that is not accounting for the other 4,000 gold that we see in favor of Fourth Wall throughout the rest of this game.
And we're starting at the point where this Aphelios is just flying away from the rest of the team. It is from away the rest of the game, it feels like, actually. It's pretty brutal. It's going to be very tough to try to deal with this one, as Fourth Wall's team fighting has been beautiful so far in this game. Just the peel, the positioning has been great. And we're now having to be in a little bit of a tough position, right? Fourth Wall composition, not the best to push, but with those 6 Void Grubs that they do have, the pushing power still is great.
Yes, their pushing power is absolutely insane. As you can see, Victor just wailing on that bot lane tower. Does take it down eventually, but what makes it even better is this TF, who's going to sit in a side lane for most of the game, can't get enough damage down on these towers quick enough to make it worthwhile. Sure, they get the objective bounty there, but it took a good couple of minutes just to knock that tower down, compared to if Aphelios or Orianna walk up to a tower at this point in this game, they're just going to fall very, very quickly.
And we're at the point where Rapid Fire, if he is going to be doing these kind of split push job that, you know, usually isn't reserved for a TF, but a Rapid Fire with that attack speed stat that you do get from it, and, well, to a certain extent the crit, is going to be very helpful in these split pushing situations, right? He is probably going to be going for Lichbane at some point, it feels like, and at that point, if you know, if you have Rapid Fire auto attack enhancer plus auto attack speed, it's a great split pushing tool, but it's not a good match against this Aatrox.
No, definitely going to have a difficult time in this game specifically. Baron is now on the cards. Fourth Wall can pretty much start this whenever they want, as long as Aphelios is on the right guns for it. I mean, this champion's so obscenely strong in this situation. 2 items already completed, with what you assume to be a Bloodthirster close behind. I mean, I'm terrified to see just how this next team fight goes, because another bad team fight or two, and Unique are just going to be completely out of the game.
You really think it's gonna need 2 team fights?
I think it might. I don't think there is enough pushing power just yet. Death timers aren't quite long enough to end the game on 1 more team fight. 2, though,
right.
should definitely do it.
Alright, well, could be a thing, right? I mean, Unique, they are getting online slowly but surely. That's Ashe nearly hitting 2 items soon. 2 items going to be hit for the TF as well with that Lichbane. There's Ornn. It's pretty damn tanky.
Pretty damn tanky indeed. Still only at 1 item, though. That Unspoken Parasite now completed as we get the first upgrade on next level. you have to imagine that goes towards this Ashe, right? I mean,
I could see a world where it does go towards the Xin Zhao, but the issue with that is that he has a Titanic Hydra right now, and I wouldn't want to upgrade a tank item right now if I was this Ornn.
Standard Hydra, when it gets completed, does have an upgrade, if that is the path that Gallop is going. But with a Corefield's Warhammer and a Cloth Armor, I think it's a Death Stance.
It might be, which makes sense considering you just need to survive against this Aphelios, right? Orianna at this point in the game, you don't need to build MR just because she's not that ahead comparatively to the Aphelios. And she's just there for the engage, the CC, the slow, the peel, the shielding, not for the damage to the fullest of extents, but we do have Fourth Wall looking to see if they can prepare this dragon, which does seem like it will go uncontested. As Unique still creeping towards their power spikes. That's where they need to be to fight this Fourth Wall team.
Absolutely. TF now on that 2-item spike. Ashe making her way to it with that Kraken Slayer, but Pipey, I mean, look at how fast this dragon is dying at the hands of this Aphelios.
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
It's just, it doesn't exist. And meanwhile...
And these are not even good guns to take the Drake.
No, really not. I mean, if green is fine if you've got white, but if you don't have white, it's very, very difficult. But, I mean, it's left Unique completely lost. I mean, they don't know that Drake's going on, so they can't contest it. But they can't do Baron because they don't have vision on it in a big enough area. But they also don't see anybody else, so they could be doing the Baron. It's a very, very difficult situation to find yourselves in, as we see a 2,000 gold lead in that bot lane now. It's going to be the LDR coming in next instead of the Bloodthirster. I can respect that decision. There's a Xin Zhao and an Ornn on the enemy team that you really need to start to try to cut through.
And it is a little bit hard to cut through Gallop when he is in his ultimate, but yeah, Ornn's still a big issue, right? He has that Thornmail's building towards a lot of armor, and I think as well that this engage might not work out as you planned. The Ashore will go wide. Caleb still going in on the backside here. Pipe is still alive. Holmberg doing his best to kite away here. Ultimate from the Ornn is going to be nice on the backside. Victor just tanking up everything on the front line, but he still is going to be dead. The shockwave just a little bit late, not hitting on the carry, and Holmberg is just unleashed. Double kill for Holmberg, and that is a beautiful way to turn around this game.
Start of the fight looked really shaky for Unique, but they managed to find the targets they wanted. KVW managing to get into the middle of that fight and soak so much of the CC coming out of Nautilus. And then Gallop was able to get onto Pipey, force them out of the fight, force them to start focusing him, and through the Grand Challenge, just completely unable to damage this Xin Zhao, which allowed Holmberg to run the rest of the fight. The Frosted Archer really, really shining through, as that one fallen sacrifice has indeed come through. The ornament for this Ashe going to be a massive, massive step up in damage. And I do believe that that is Unique's way back into this game. Gold lead, now only 3,000 gold.
Slowly but surely closing that gap, right? And the Blade of the Rune King, that fight. If we could get an item stat as to just that fight, I think that Blade of the Rune King is the MVP of that fight, that's for sure.
Definitely getting a lot of damage down in that small window. Moving our attention back towards this Xin Zhao just very quickly. That Steel Sigil in inventory completely stopped Aphelios' damage for the early part of that play as well. This is a death stance we are seeing coming through here. Fourth Wall, no, they're not on vision, but there's the Hawk shot, and now we might see just another team fight right off the bat.
Yeah, and we are fighting. It's going to be rather open here. Engage is going to be started onto Gallop. CC to the death here, but Ornn ultimate on the backside. Will it be enough to save him? Absolutely not. Still dead. Pipey though cleansed and into the gold card. Will he still alive though? He barely dies, but 1,000 gold shutdown is going to go over here though. Kanska still fighting here. KVW trying to dish out the damage he can, but he's not built for it just yet. Sir Victor still looking to see if he can find something, but the rest of the team is going out, and we are into a pause.
A very, very close fight coming through there. Holmberg flashing the wall to try and kill Pipey, but Pipey lived for so long. Does inevitably get that 1,000 gold shutdown, forces the shockwave out of Toxie as well, which means that now isn't available for the rest of the fight. You have to call that worth for Holmberg, but that fight very, very dangerous to take. I mean, Gallop immediately forced out of the fight, just completely killed off before it even starts. This Aphelios is doing so much damage at this point. You can't put a foot wrong.
I think it was a little bit greedy though with his positioning, right? There's a lot of CC on the menu, right? He was walking up into uncharted territory. There was a crystal arrow. The layering of the CC was almost there, but fortunate for him, the cleanse was there, but could only cleanse one ability, to be fair. So he wasn't able to cleanse the gold card that was there. So now you're in this very tough position as to, okay, we are summoners down, Baron is on the menu. Unique is not in this best position. They could potentially try to force a fight or something around the Baron again, but I don't know. The 1,000 gold shutdown though is it's chef kiss.
It's the highlight of that play. That is Holmberg really coming out onto the map now. I mean, Ashe not known for being a great late game carry in comparison to the likes of Aphelios, but oh my lord, that mid game. I mean, if this Ashe can start matching the Aphelios in terms of the damage she's outputting, or even just the utility she's providing, it makes these fights so much harder because Fourth Wall are relying on Pipey's lead. They're relying on this Aphelios to get a lot of damage down, like he did onto Gallop in that fight. I mean, we saw Gallop's health just completely vanish before the grand challenge came through. If we can see that onto a couple of more members, which is what Infernum is for, right? I mean, you hit one person, it spreads and hits 3 others, then you get the ult and boom, goes everybody's health bars. If we can see that, I'm very, very excited for the rest of this game. But I don't know if we are going to see that or if this was maybe just a one-off blunder from Fourth Wall or a one-off good fight from Unique. Really not sure.
One thing that is worth pointing out as well, though, it is going to be Synapse just flanked there on the Ornn. It was beautiful. It was great. It was superb. It was very nicely done and definitely salvaged the fight to a certain extent as well. But we are going to be seeing Fourth Wall on this Baron, slowly but surely going to be going down as well. TP coming in from Synapse. Doesn't have the ultimate, and it's... I don't know if this is the best fight they can possibly take here. Doesn't have that much damage on the menu. Synapse being taken low as well. Fabiox looking to be taken down by the Baron. Is he able to go down in the end? But no, he's not. But the Baron attempt is fended off for the time being, and Fourth Wall need to go back to the drawing board.
I really don't like that coming through from Unique. Forcing a fight, sure, you push them off the Baron, but you lose yet another member in your attempts to do so. You had no real damage dealer there at that point. It was a very, very risky play to go for, and that's proven by losing Synapse. Sure, again, Baron doesn't go down. You've delayed it a little bit longer, but now every single member of Fourth Wall is back up, and they're just going to go straight back there, and your Ornn is dead for another 10 seconds.
Yep, and no TP available, so it'll be a while before he is back in here. Drake is available in 30 seconds, which Fourth Wall could potentially snack up both here. Ink looking to see if they can maybe get into the pit, but Darkness... There's no Nocturne here, but Darkness still an option here. Ultimate on the side is going to be meaning that Holmberg is just out of position. The ultimate from the Renata is going to be there, but the follow-up damage is non-existent, and that one died already. TF, he used his ultimate, but where in the world did he go? He went straight for the mid lane, seeing if he can find something on the map.
I don't know what happened to Holmberg there, just completely blown up before the fight starts, and now the Baron goes over to Fourth Wall for what is essentially free. This dragon will be picked up by Synapse and Kansha on the side, but they don't do it very fast.
They do it pretty slow. I mean, Lichbane and Leandris is through now for KVW. I mean, Vision's not here, but Vision Cone's going to be used, and this dragon... Thanks for the leash.
TY for leash will take it from here.
This is so tough, and it feels like all of that was just because they weren't fighting with their Ornn, they weren't fighting with the front side, and Holmberg just way out of position there in the side lane or in the mid lane.
Oh no.
And
dragon.
Yeah.
This Aphelios is going to be unkillable.
Right, so where do we go from here if you're Unique?
Get some kind of tank shred. onto your AD carry and play around this Ashe. She's got a lot of gold on her back. Your TF is really more utility than damage at this point. You have to be playing around this big carry in the bot lane. The only player who's realistically going to be able to match this Aphelios in any of the coming fights.
That's going to be the case shortly as well. The coming fights are coming up for sure. Siege is on the way as we see Synapse once again trying to see if he can find a flank angle. Just demoted to the side lanes as well as KVW on the side lane string. If he can find something, has his ultimate. He's level 16. Could find a flank angle if we do find one, and Norn ultimate's going to be used as well. Asher are going to be used onto Toxie here. Will he be bursted down quickly enough? Gallop on the backside. Pipe is still under siege, but he is not being he is just unkillable at this point. Kanska just taken so low. The rest of the team, Servicta, just being on the front line, just taking everything. A triple kill from almost a quadra, but it's going to be the ace for Unique. Toxic being the only person going down.
Death timers are 20 seconds long. That will just be the game for Fourth Wall. One fight that Unique looked like they could win. They found the angle onto Pipey. They got TF and Xin Zhao back there, and it didn't matter because in the end, the Aphelios is too strong and Fourth Wall take the game.
That's just it. One fight that looked like they could turn it around wasn't enough for Unique, unfortunately, and well, that's going to mean that one team goes 1-1, the other one goes 0-2.
I mean, very well played from Fourth Wall, right? We said that maybe we were expecting Aatrox to be the strong side. That didn't happen. This Aphelios right here, that's where all the focus was. And I'm a big believer that if you give Aphelios resources in the early game, he's gonna pay those fold in the mid to late game. And that's exactly what we saw happen. Pipey with a wonderful performance on that champion. I mean, it was a great performance from everybody on the side of Fourth Wall, really, really playing to those strengths effectively, playing the team fights really, really well, separating the team in every way possible. It was just a good game from Fourth Wall.
Yeah, do have to commend though as well, Unique. They're engaged there at the end in that last fight was very, very well coordinated. I have to say that, but the issue is the coordination around the Drake fights in the earlier stages of the game allowed a 3 Mountain Drake Aphelios to kind of just do whatever he wanted in the fight, despite being jumped on by 2 of the major engages.
Yeah, I mean, as much damage is going to come out from a 2-item Xin Zhao and a 3-item Twisted Fate. You've got a lot of armor and MR coming through from those Mountain Dragons. You've got a Nautilus sat on your face as well. Realistically, nothing's ever going to get to you. And we saw as much, even through the bailout. Gallop dies in every single fight. There just wasn't enough of a clawback before finding these engages onto Pipey to really allow for this game to be in Unique's favor. But ultimately, they did their best. They definitely had a very strong showing towards the end of that game. I think if they can clean up their early game a little bit, not give us such a big lead in the future, they can definitely pull some games in their favor.
For sure, for sure. In the future is in the future. But shortly in the future, we will be having an interview with Servicta, the top laner of the victorious team of Fourth Wall. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here back, and today we are going to be rounding off with a winner's interview with the Sir Victa of Fourth Wall top laner here. How are you doing? And congrats on the win.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. It was nice win. Thank you very much.
So, we talked about this a little bit on the broadcast, and it's a little bit of an interesting one because you guys decided to have a Chinese jungler. How is that fitting in a team environment right now?
I think it definitely took a long time to get synergy together. Like last official, we definitely still weren't quite ready yet, but the last couple days we've been having like pretty good scrims, and I think communication is like not an issue anymore. So it's getting a lot better, and I think it will only continue to get better during the split.
Definitely looked like a very good game coming out of you guys. Now, I have to ask, at what point in that game were you guys kind of like, okay, this is really, really difficult to lose now? Because I think for us, it was Aphelios going, what, like 8-0?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of like knew in draft. I mean, they have no carries in late game. If we're like, if they don't end in 25 minutes, we win the game. So it was like they didn't get a lead the first 5 minutes. We were like, okay, we win the game, kinda. And of course, our bot lane getting like really, really fed. Like Pipey carrying that game, it was huge. And, like it was so easy to play. I was just farming inside lane and won the game for free. Like I didn't have to do anything. It was nice.
Just general top lane things, I guess. That's
Yeah, classic.
top land high. So, but going a little bit into the draft though, like who's deciding most of the drafts? Do you guys have a coach or?
So Warrior, like mainly it's Warrior who decides most of the stuff, and then we like decide on like specific champion. Like if I want to play Aatrox or Cassandra, or if botlane wants to play like Aphelios or another champion, whatever, right? But the how we're drafting is based on like it's mainly Warrior deciding how we draft.
Mm.
Also, he's also the main shot caller in game, which is kind of funny. So it's like the only one who doesn't really. He speaks English decently, but it's kind of funny still. He's the main shot caller.
I mean, it's definitely a little bit of interesting, right? And I guess another audible question, which how do you ever see that he's like on 150 ping?
I mean, the reason we're mainly playing like he's still playing like really well. I think like his mechanics on 150 ping is better than like most of the players in Europe anyway with 20 ping. So it's kind of crazy. So you don't really notice this too much. Sometimes like you will notice it because it's a bit harder to land certain spells. Like a skill shot can be harder to land or dodge. And it's also like a reason why we don't play like hyper carries in jungle. It's not meta for it anyway, but it would be very hard to play stuff like Kindred maybe in the jungle, right? But I think with the meta and with how good Warrior is, you don't really notice ping at all.
That's fair enough. I would say that works.
Thumbs
Yeah.
up. So yeah, but yeah, we can definitely see that shining through on the Maokai today, and you shining through on the Aatrox as well. Hopefully, we'll see more of those performances later in the split. Well, and yeah, so Sir Victor, thank you a lot for the interview, and congrats on the win once again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So with that, that means that today is going to be signed off. We are just having 3 games today. Unfortunately, I know there's more people who want to have 4 games, but unfortunately, some team scheduling, some blah 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 blah. Anyways, well, this has been fun casting for once in a while. Usually I'm on production, so fun screaming for a little bit. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me, Sika. It has been a pleasure casting with you as always. My name is Winkow, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Same bad stream, same bad time.